The first part of Henry VI. Actus primus, scona prima. Dead March. Enter the funeral of King Henry V, attended on by the Duke of Bedford, Regent of France, the Duke of Gloucester, Protector, the Duke of Exeter, Warwick, the Bishop of Winchester, and the Duke of Somerset. Bedford, hung by Howans with black yield day to night. Comets importing change of times and states. Brandish your crystal tresses in the sky, and with them scourge the bad ruling stars. That hawk consented vnto Henry's death. King Henry V, too famous to live long. England near lost a king of so much worth. Glast, England near had a king vntil his time. Virtue he had, deserving to command. His brandished sword did blind men with his beams. His arms spread wider than a dragon's wings. His sparkling eyes, replete with wrathful fire, more dazzled and drow back his enemies than midday sun, fierce bent against their faces. What should I say? His deeds exceed all speech. He ne'er lift his hand, but conquered. We mourn in black, why mourn we not in blood? Henry is dead, and Nua shall rue you. Pan a wooden coffin we attend, and death's dishonourable victory we with our stately presence glorify. Like captives bound to a triumphant car, what shall we curse the planets of mishap that plotted thus our glory's overthrow? Or shall we think the subtle-witted French, conjurers and sorcerers, that afraid of him, by magic verses whore contrived his end? Winch, he was a king, blessed of the King of Kings. Vnto the French, the dreadful judgment day. So dreadful will not be, as was his sight. The battles of the Lord of Hosts he fought. The church's prayers made him so prosperous. Glast the church, where is it? Had not churchmen prayed, his thread of life had not so soon decayed. None do you like but an effeminate prince, whom like a schoolboy you may raw. Winch, Gloucester, whate'er we like thou art protector, and lookest to command the prince and realmy. Thy wife is proud, she holdeth thee in awe, more than God or religious churchmen may. Glast, name not religion, for thou loust the flesh, and near throughout the year to church thou goest, except it be to pray against thy foes. Bed, cease these ires, and rest your minds in peace. Let's to the altar, heralds wait on versus. Instead of gold, we'll offer our arms, since arms oil not now that Henry's dead. Posterity await for wretched years, when at their mother's moistened eyes babes shall suck. Our isle be made a nourish of salt tears, and none but women left to wail the dead. Henry V, thy ghost I innuocate. Prosper this realmy, keep it from Seuil broils. Combat with arduous planets in the Howans. A far more glorious star thy soul will make than Iulius C. Ersar or bright. Enter a messenger. Mess, my honourable lords, health to you all. Sad tidings bring I to you out of France, of loss, of slaughter and discomfiture. Guyenne, Champagne, Reims, Orleans, Paris, Geysers, Poictiers are all quite lost. Bedf, what say'st thou, man, before dead Henry's course? Speak softly, or the loss of those great towns will make him burst his lead, and rise from death. Glast, is Paris lost, is Rhone yielded If Henry were recalled to life again, these news would cause him once more yield the ghost. How were they lost, what treachery was vest? Mess, no treachery but want of men and money. Amongst the soldiers this is muttered, that here you maintain all factions, and whilst a field should be dispatched and fought, you are disputing of your generals. One would hold lingering wars with little cost. Another would fly swift but wanteth wings. A third thinks without expense at all. By guileful fair words peace may be obtained. Awake, awake, English nobility! Let not sloth dim your honours new begot. Cropped are the flower deluces in your arms. Of England's coat 1/2 is cut away. Exe, were our tears wanting to this funeral, these tidings would call forth her flowing tides. Bedf me they concern, regent I am of France. Giu me my steeled coat, I'll fight for France. Away with these disgraceful wailing robes. Wounds will I lend the French instead of eyes, to weep their intermissio miseries. Enter to them another messenger. Mess, lords, view these letters full of bad mischance. France is ruled from the English quite, except some petty towns of no import. The Dolphin Charles is crowned king in Reims. The bastard of Orleans with him is eined. Reynold, Duke of Anjou, doth take his part. The Duke of Alençon flieth to his side. Enter. Exe, the Dolphin crowned king, all fly to him. Oh, whither shall we fly from this reproach? Glast, we will not fly but to our enemies' throats. Bedford, if thou be slacky, I'll fight it out. Bed, Gloucester, why doubt'st thou of my forwardness? An army whore I mustered in my thoughts, wherewith already France is overrun. Enter another messenger. Me's, my gracious lords, to add to your laments, wherewith you now bedew King Henry's hearse, I must inform you of a dismal fight betwixt the stout Lord Talbot and the French. Win what, wherein Talbot overcame is so. 3 Me's, oh no, wherein Lord Talbot was overthrown. The circumstance I'll tell you more at large. The 10th of August last, this dreadful lord, returning from the siege of Orleans, hoying full scarce 6,000 in his troop, by 23,000 of the French, was round encompassed and set vipon. No leisure had he to enrank his men. He wanted pikes to set before his archers, instead whereof sharp stakes plucked out of hedges. They pitched in the ground confusedly, to keep the horsemen off from breaking in. More than 3 hours the fight continued, where valiant Talbot, about humane thought, enacted wonders with his sword and lance. Hundreds he sent to hell, and none durst stand him. Here, there, and Uri where enragged he slew. The French exclaimed the duel was in arms. All the whole army stood aghast on him, his soldiers spying his daunted spirit. A Talbot, cried out Amin, and rushed into the bowels of the battle. Here had the conquest fully been sealed VP. If Sir Ion Falstaff had not played the coward, he being in the forward placked behind, with purpose to renew and follow them, cowardly fled, not hoying struck one stroke. Hence grew the general rack and massacre. Enclosed were they with their enemies. A base Wallen, to win the Dolphin's grace, thrust Talbot with a spear into the back, whom all France with their chief assembled strength durst not presume to look once in the face. Bedf, is Talbot slain then, I will slay myself, for lewing idly here in pomp and ease, whilst such a worthy leader wanting eyed. Vnto his dastard foemen is betraymes. Oh no, he leus but is took prisoner, and Lord Scales with him, and Lord Hungerford, most of the rest slaughtered or took likewise. Bedf, his ransom there is none but I shall pay. I'll hale the Dolphin headlong from his throne. His crown shall be the ransom of my friend. 4 of their lords I'll change for one of ours. Farewell my masters, to my task will I. Bonfires in France forthwith I am to make, to keep our great Saint George's feast withal. 10,000 soldiers with me I will take, whose bloody deeds shall make all Europe quake. 3 Mess, so you had need for Orleans is besieged. The English army is grown weak and faint. The Earl of Salisbury croweth supply, and hardly keeps his men from mutiny. Since they so few, watch such a multitude. Remember, lords, your oaths to Henry sworn, either to quell the dolphin vt turley, or bring him in obedience to your yoke. Bedf, I do remember it, and here take my low, to go about my preparation. Exit Bedford. Gloucester, I'll to the Tower with all the hast I can, to view artillery and munition, and then I will proclaim young Henry king. Exit Gloucester. To Eltham will I, where the young king is, being ordained his special governor, and for his safety there I'll best duise. Enter. Winch, each hath his place and function to attend. I am left out, for me nothing remains. But long I will not be out of office. The king from Eltham I intend to send, and sit at chiefest stern of public weal. Enter. Sound of flourish. Enter Charles Alanson and Riegner, marching with drum and soldiers. Charles mars his true mooing, Ewan as in the Hohens. So in the earth to this day is not known. Late did he shine vipon the English side. Now we are victors, vipon versus he smiles. What towns of any moment but we haw? At pleasure here we lie near Orleans. Otherwhiles the famished English like pale ghosts faintly besiege versus 1 hour in a moneth. Allen, they want their porridge and their fat bull beus. Either they must be dighted like mules, and haw their prounder tied to their mouths, or piteous they will look like drowned mice. Riegner, let's race the siege, while liu we idly hear. Talbot is taken, whom we want to fear. Remaineth none but mad-brained Salisbury, and he may well in fretting spend his gall. Nor men nor money hath he to make war. Charles, sound alarum, we will rush on them. Now for the honour of the forlorn French. Him I forge you my death that killeth me, when he sees me go back 1 foot or fly. Exeunt. Here alarum, they are beaten back by the English with great loss. Enter Charles Alanson and Riegner. Charles, who ewer saw the like, what men horai? Dogges, cowards, dastards, I would near haw fled, but that they left me midst my enemies. Riegner, Salisbury is a desperate homicide. He fighteth as one weary of his life. The other lords like Leon wanting food, do rush vipon versus as their hungry prey. Alanson, Froissart, a countryman of ours, records England all Oliewers and Roland's breed. During the time Edward III did reigny. More truly now may this be verified. For none but Samsons and Goliasses it sendeth forth to skirmish, 1 to 10. Lean roband rascals who would e'er suppose they had such courage and audacity. Charles, let's low this town, for they are hair-brained slaws, and hunger will enforce them to be more eager. Of old I know them, rather with their teeths. The walls they'll tear down, then forsake the siege. Riegner, I think by some odd gimmers or Dewis. Their arms are set like clerks, still to strike on. Else ne'er could they hold out so as they do. By my consent, we'll Ewan let them alone. Alanson, be it so. Enter the bastard of Orleans. Bastard, where's the Prince Dolphin? I haw news. For him, Dolph, bastard of Orleans, thrice welcome to V's. Bast, methinks your looks are sad, your cheer appalled. Hath the late overthrow wrought this offence? Be not dismayed, for succour is at hand. A holy maid hither with me I bring, which by a vision sent to her from Hohen, ordained is to race this tedious siege, and drew you the English forth the bounds of France. The spirit of deep prophecy she hath, exceeding the 9 Sibyls of old Rome. What's past and what's to come she can descry. Speak, shall I call her in, believe you my words? For they are certain and infallible. Dolph, go call her in, but first to try her skill. Reigneer, stand thou as dolphin in my place. Question her proudly, let thy looks be stern. By this means shall we sound what skill she hath. Enter Ion Pusel. Reigneer, fair maid, is't thou wilt do these wondrous feats? Pusel, Reigneer, is't thou that thinkest to beguile me? Where is the dolphin? Come from behind. I know thee well, though never seen before. Be not amazed, there's nothing hid from me. In private will I talk with thee apart. Stand back, you lords, and you versus low a while. Reigneer, she takes upon her brawly at first dash. Pusel, dolphin, I am by birth a shepherd's daughter. My wit trained in any kind of art. Hohen and Our Lady gracious hath it pleased to shine on my contemptible estate. Lo, whilst I waited on my tender lambs, and to sun's parching heat displayed my cheeks, God's mother deigned to appear to me, and in a vision full of majesty, willed me to low my base vocation, and free my country from calamity. Her eyed she promised and assured success. In complete glory she royaled herself, and whereas I was black and swart before, with those clear rays which she infused on me, that beauty am I blessed with which you may see. Ask me what question thou canst possible, and I will answer vn premeditated. My courage try by combat if thou dost, and thou shalt find that I exceed my sex. Resolute on this thou shalt be fortunate, if thou receive me for thy warlike mate. Dolph, thou hast astonished me with thy high terms. Only this proof I'll of thy valour make. In single combat thou shalt buckle with me, and if thou vanquishest, thy words are true. Otherwise I renounce all confidence. Pusel, I am prepared, here is my keen-edged sword, decked with fine flowered luces on each side, the which at Touraine in S. Catherine's churchyard, out of a great deal of old iron I chose forth. Dolph, then come a God's name, I fear no woman. Pusel, and while I lee you I'll ne'er fly from a man. Here they fight, and Ion de Pusel hour comes. Dolph, stay thy hands, thou art an Amazon, and fightest with the sword of Deborah. Pusel, Christ's mother helps me, else I were too weak. Dolph, who e'er helps thee, 'tis thou that must help me. Impatiently I burn with thy desire. My heart and hands thou hast at once subdued. Excellent Pusel, if thy name be so, let me thy servant, and not sour rainy be. 'Tis the French dolphin sooth to thee thus. Pusel, I must not yield to any rights of law, for my profession's sacred from a bow. When I ha chased all thy foes from hence, then will I think upon a recompense. Dolph, meantime look gracious on thy prostrate thrall. Reigneer, my lord methinks is very long in talk. Allen's, doubtless he shrews this woman to her smark, else ne'er could he so long protract his speech. Reigneer, shall we disturb him since he keeps no means? Allen, he may mean more than we poor men do know. These women are shrewd tempters with their tongues. Reigneer, my lord, where are you? What deal is you on? Shall we gie you a Orleans or no? Pusel, why no, I say, distrustful recreants. Fight till the last gasp, I'll be your guard. Dolph, what she says I'll confirm, we'll fight it out. Pusel, assigned am I to be the English scourge. This night the siege assuredly I'll race. Expect St. Martin's summer, halcyon's days, since I ha entered into these wars. Glory is like a circle in the water, which ne'er ceaseth to enlarge itself, till by broad spreading it disperse to naught. With Henry's death the English circle ends. Dispersed are the glories it included. Now am I like that proud insulting ship, which see Ersar and his fortune bear at once. Dolph was Mahomet inspired with a Tao. Thou with an eagle art inspired then. Helen, the mother of great Constantine. Nor yet S. Philip's daughters were like thee. Bright star of Venus, foully down on the earth. How may I reverently worship thee enough? Alanson, low off delays and let versus race the siege. Reignere, woman, do what thou canst to soar our honours. Dree you them from Orleans and be immortalized. Dolph, presently we'll try, come let's away about it. No prophet will I trust if she prow false. Exeunt. Enter Gloucester with his sorrowing men. Gloucester, I'm come to survey the tower this day. Since Henry's death I fear there is connivance. Where be these warders that they wait not here? Open the gates, 'tis Gloucester that calls. One warder, who's there that knocks so imperiously? Gloucester, one man, it is the noble Duke of Gloucester. Two, warder, whoe'er he be you may not be let in. One man, villains, answer you so the Lord Protector. One, warder, the Lord protect him so we answer him. We do no otherwise than we are willed. Gloucester, who willed you, or whose will stands but mine? There's none protector of the realmy but I. Break VP the gates, I'll be your warranties. Shall I be floated thus by dunghill grooms? Gloucester's men rush at the tower gates, and Woodwile the lieutenant speaks within. Woodwile, what noise is this, what traitors ho? We hear. Gloucester, lieutenant, is it you whose voice I hear? Open the gates, here's Gloucester that would enter. Woodwile, ho patience noble Duke, I may not open. The Cardinal of Winchester forbids. From him I ho express commandment, that thou nor none of thine shall be let in. Gloucester, faint-hearted Woodwile prizest him for me. Arrogant Winchester, that haughty prelate, whom Henry our late sour rainy near could brook. Thou art no friend to God or to the king. Open the gates, or I'll shut thee out shortly. Sorrowing men, open the gates VNTO the Lord Protector. Or we'll burst them open, if that you come not quickly. Enter to the Protector at the tower gates, Winchester and his men. In tawny coats. Winchester, how now ambitious VM fair, what means this? Gloucester, peeled priest, dost thou command me to be shut out? Winch, I do, thou most usurping proditor, and not protector of the king or realmy. Gloucester, stand back, thou manifest conspirator, thou that contributes to murder our dead lord, thou that giest whores indulgences to sin. I'll canoes thee in thy broad cardinal's hat, if thou proceed in this thy insolence. Winch, nay, stand thou back, I will not budge a foot. This be Damascus, be thou cursed Cain, to slay thy brother Abel if thou wilt. Gloucester, I will not slay thee, but I'll drew thee back. Thy scarlet robes as a child's bearing cloth, I'll VSC to carry thee out of this place. Winch, do what thou dost, I beard thee to thy face. Gloucester, what am I darred and bearded to my face? Draw men for all this privileged place. Blue coats to tawny coats, priest, beware your beard. I mean to tug it and to cuff you soundly. Viender my feet I stamp thy cardinal's hat. In spite of pope or dignities of church, here by the cheeks I'll drag thee VP and down. Winch, Gloucester, thou wilt answer this before they Pope. Gloucester, Winchester goose, I cry, a rope, a rope. Now beat them hence, why do you let them stay? thee I'll chase hence, thou wolf in sheep's array. Out tawny coats, out scarlet hypocrite. Here Gloucester's men beat out the cardinal's men, and enter in the hurly-burly the mayor of London and his officers. Mayor, fie lords, that you being supreme magistrates, thus contumeliously should break the peace. Gloucester, peace mayor, thou know'st little of my wrongs. Here's Beaufort, that regards nor God nor king, hath here distrained the Tower to his VSC. Winch, here's Gloucester a foe to citizens, one that still motions war, and newer peace, or recharging your free purses with large fines, that seeks to overthrow religion, because he is protector of the realmy, and would haul armour here out of the Tower, to crown himself king and suppress the prince. Gloucester, I will not answer thee with words but blows. Here they skirmish again. Mayor, naught rests for me in this tumultuous strife, but to make open proclamation. Come officer, as loud as ear thou canst cry, all manner of men, assembled here in arms this day against God's peace and the king's, we charge and command you in his highness' name, to repair to your several dwelling places, and not to wear, handle or VSC any sword, weapon or dagger henceforward, vipon pain of death. Gloucester, Cardinal, I'll be no breaker of the law, but we shall meet, and break our minds at large. Winch, Gloucester, we'll meet to thy cost, be sure. Thy heart blood I will haul for this day's work. Mayor, I'll call for clubs if you will not away. This Cardinal's more haughty than the duel. Gloucester, Mayor, farewell, thou dost but what thou mayst he. Winch, abominable Gloucester, guard thy head, for I intend to hoe it ere long. Exeunt. Mayor, see the coast cleared, and then we will depart. Good God, these nobles should such stomachs bear. I myself fight not once in 40 year. Exeunt. Enter the master gunner of Orleans and his boy. Gunner, sirrah, thou know'st how Orleans is besieged, and how the English whore the suburbs won. Boy, father, I know, and oft whore shot at them. How ere vn fortunate I missed my aim. Gunner, but now thou shalt not, be thou rolled by me. Chief master gunner am I of this town. Something I must do to procure me grace. The prince's espials whore informed me, how the English, in the suburbs close entrenched, went through a secret grate of iron bars, in yonder tower to overpeer the city, and thence discover how with most advantage they may vex these with shot or with assault. To intercept this inconvenience, a piece of ordnance gainst it I whole placked, and you in these 3 days whore I watched. If I could see them, now do thou watch, for I can stay no longer. If thou spiest any, run and bring me word, and thou shalt find me at the Gowernor's. Enter. Boy, father, I warrant you take you no care. I'll newer trouble you if I may spy them. Enter. Enter Salisbury and Talbot on the turrets with others. Salisb, Talbot, my life, my eye, again returned. How wert thou handled, being prisoner? Or by what means gotst thou to be released? Discourse, I prithee, on this turret's top. Talbot, the Earl of Bedford, had a prisoner, called the braw Lord Ponton de Santrail. For him was I exchanged and ransomed, but with a baser man of arms by far. Once in contempt they would hold bartered me, which I disdaining, scorned and crawed death. Rather than I would be so pilled esteemed. In fine, redeemed I was as I desired. But oh, the treacherous Falstaff wounds my heart, whom with my bare fists I would execute, if I now had him brought into my power. Salisb, yet tell'st thou not how thou wert entertained. Tal, with scoffs and scorns and contumelious taunts, in open marketplace product they me, to be a public spectacle to all. Here, said they, is the terror of the French, the scarecrow that affrights our children so, Then broke I from the officers that led me, and with my nails digged stones out of the ground, to hurl at the beholders of my shame. My grisly countenance made others fly. None durst come near, for fear of sudden death. In iron walls they deemed me not secure. So great fear of my name mongst them were spread, that they supposed I could rend bars of steel, and spurn in pieces posts of adamant. Wherefore a guard of chosen shot I had, that walked about me every minute while. And if I did but stir out of my bed, ready they were to shoot me to the heart. Enter the boy with a linstock. Salisp, I gree you to hear what torments you endured. But we will be ruined sufficiently. Now it is supper time in Orleans. Here through this grate I count each one, and view the Frenchmen how they fortify. Let these look in, the sight will much delight thee. Sir Thomas Gargraw and Sir William Glansdale, let me haw your express opinions. Where is best place to make our battery next? Gargraw, I think at the north gate, for there stands Lords. Glansdale, and I here at the bulwark of the bridge. Talb, for aught I see this city must be famished, or with light skirmishes enfeebled. Here they shot, and Salisbury falls down. Salisp, O Lord, have mercy on versus wretched sinners. Gargraw, O Lord, have mercy on me, waffle man. Talb, what chance is this that suddenly hath crossed versus? Speak, Salisbury, at least if thou canst speak. How farsty thou, mirror of all martial men! One of thy eyes in thy cheek's side struck off. Accursed tower, accursed fatal hand, that hath contraried this waffle tragedy. In 13 battles Salisbury o'ercame. Henry the Fifth he first trained to the wars, whilst any trump did sound, or drum struck VP. His sword did near low striking in the field. Yet liest thou, Salisbury, though thy speech doth fail. One eye thou hast to look to Hohen for grace. The sun with one eye vieweth all the world. Hohen, be thou gracious to none alieu. If Salisbury wants mercy at thy hands, bear hence his body, I will help to bury it. Sir Thomas Gargraw, hast thou any life? Speak VNTO Talbot, nay, look VP to him. Salisbury, cheer thy spirit with this comfort. Thou shalt not die whiles. He beckons with his hand and smiles on me, as who should say, when I am dead and gone, remember to orange me on the French. Plantagenet I will, and like thee, play on the lute, beholding the towns burn. Wretched shall France be onely in my name. Hear an alarum, and it thunders and lightens. What stirrer is this, what tumults in the Hohens? Whence cometh this alarum and the noise? Enter a messenger. Mess, my lord, the French ha gathered head. The dolphin with one eye on depusal eyened. A holy prophetess, new risen VP, is come with a great power to race the siege. Here Salisbury lifteth himself VP and groans. Talb, hear how dying Salisbury doth groan. It irks his heart he cannot be ruined. Frenchman, I'll be a Salisbury to you. Puzzle or puzzle, dolphin or dogfish. Your hearts I'll stamp out with my horse's heels, and make a quagmire of your mingled brains. Canoe me Salisbury into his tent, and then we'll try what these dastard Frenchmen dare. Alarum exeunt. Hear an alarum again, and Talbot pursueth the dolphin, and dreweth him. Then enter Ion de Puzzle, drewing Englishmen before her, then enter Talbot. Talb, where is my strength, my valour, and my force? Our English troops retire, I cannot stay them. A woman clad in armour chaseth them. Enter Puzzle. Here she comes, I'll whore a boat with thee. Duel or duels damn, I'll conneer thee. Blood will I draw on thee, thou art a witch. And straightway giu thy soul to him thou serust. Pusel, come, 'tis onely I that must disgrace thee. Here they fight. Talb, Hoens, can you suffer hell so to preul? My breast I'll burst with straining of my courage, and from my shoulders crack my arms asunder. But I will chastise this high-minded strumpet. They fight again. Pusel, Talbot, farewell, thy hour is not yet come. I must go victual Orleans forthwith. A short alarum, then enter the town with soldiers. Ori, take me if thou canst, I scorn thy strength. Go, go, cheer VP thy hungry starred men. Help Salisbury to make his testament. This day is ours, as many more shall be. Enter. Talb, my thoughts are whirled like a potter's wheel. I know not where I am nor what I do. A witch by fear, not force, like Hannibal, drews back our troops and conquers as she lists. So bees with smoke, and dows with noisome stench, are from their hues and houses driven away. They called these, for our fierceness, English doggers. Now like to whelps we crying run away. A short alarum. Hot countrymen, either renew the fight, or tear the Leon out of England's coat. Renounce your soil, giu sheep in Leonstead. Sheep run not half so treacherous from the wolf, or horse or oxen from the leopard, as you fly from your oft subdued slaws. Alarum, hear another skirmish. It will not be, retire into your trenches. You all consented VNTO Salisbury's death, for none would strike a stroke in his ruinage. Pusel is entered into Orleans, in spite of these or aught that we could do. Oh, would I were to die with Salisbury! The shame hereof will make me hide my head. Exit Talbot. Alarum, retreat, flourish. Enter on the walls, Pusel, Dolphin, Reigner, Alanson, and soldiers. Pusel, adduance our warring colours on the walls. Rescued is Orleans from the English. Thus Ione de Pusel hath performed her word. Dolph, divinest creature, Astria's daughter, how shall I honour thee for this success? Thy promises are like Adonis' garden, that one day bloomed and fruitful were the next. France, triumph in thy glorious prophetess. Recoward is the town of Orleans. More blessed hap did near befall our state. Reigner, why ring not out the bells aloud throughout the town? Dolphin, command the citizens make bonfires, and feast and banquet in the open streets, to celebrate the eye that God hath given these. Allens, all France will be replete with mirth and eye, when they shall hear how we whore-played the men. Dolph, 'tis Ione, not we, by whom the day is won, for which I will deide my crown with her, and all the priests and friars in my realmy shall in procession sing her Endel's praise. A statelier Pyrames to her I'll rear, then Rhodophis or Memphis ewer was, in memory of her when she is dead. Her ashes in envrne more precious than the ritualed coffer of Darius, transported shall be at high festiules, before the kings and queens of France. No longer on Saint Denis will we cry, but Ione de Pusel shall be France's saint. Come in and let Versus banquet royally, after this golden day of victory. Flourish exeunt. Actus secundus, scena prima. Enter a sergeant of a band with 2 sentinels. Sirs, take your places and be vigilant. If any noise or soldier you perceive near to the walls by some apparent scene, let Versus hold knowledge at the court of guard. Sent sergeant you shall, thus our poor Seriders, when others sleep upon their quiet beds, constrained to watch in darkness, rain and cold. Enter Talbot, Bedford and Burgundy with scaling ladders, there. Drums, beating a dead march. Tal, Lord Regent and redoubted Burgundy, by whose approach the regions of Artois, Wallen and Picardy are friends to Versus. This happy night the Frenchmen are secure, hoeing all day caroused and banqueted. Embrace we then this opportunity, as fitting best to quittance their deceit, contraried by art and baleful sorcery. Bed, coward of France, how much he wrongs his fame, despairing of his own arm's fortitude, to iron with witches and the help of hell. Burr, traitors whore newer other company. But what's that puzel whom they term so pure? Tal, a maid, they say. Bed, a maid, and be so martial. Burr, pray God she prow not masculine ere long. If Vienne durneath the standard of the French, she carry armour as she hath begun. Tal, well let them practise and canoeus with spirits. God is our fortress in whose conquering name. Let Versus resolute to scale their flinty bulwarks. Bed, ascend broad Talbot, we will follow thee. Tal, not altogether, better far I guess, that we do make our entrance sure all ways, that if it chance the one of these do fail, the other yet may rise against their force. Bed, agreed, I'll to yond corner. Burr, and I to this. Tal, and here will Talbot mount or make his graw. Now Salisbury, for thee and for the right of English Henry shall this night appear. How much in duty I am bound to both. Sent arm, the enemy doth make assault. Cry S. George A. Talbot. The French leap o'er the walls in their shirts, enter Suerol. Ways. Bastard, Alanson, Rigneer half ready and half Vienne ready. Alan, how now my lords, what all Vienne ready so? Bast Vienne ready, I am glad we scapt so well. Raig, 'twas time I trow to wake and low our beds, hearing alarums at our chamber doors. Alan, of all exploits since first I followed arms, near heard I of a warlike enterprise, more venturous or desperate than this. Bast, I think this Talbot be a fiend of hell. Raig, if not of hell the Hohen's sure for him. Alans, here cometh Charles, I marvel how he sped. Enter Charles and Ione. Bast, tut, holy Ione was his defence you guard. Charles, is this thy cunning, thou deceitful dame? Didst thou at first, to flatter Versus withal, make Versus partakers of a little gain, that now our loss might be 10 times so much? Ione, wherefore is Charles impatient with his friend? At all times will you whore my power alike? Sleeping or waking must I still prevail? Or will you blame and lay the fault on me? Imprudent soldiers, had your watch been good, this sudden mischief newer could whore foulny. Charles, Duke of Alanson, this was your default, that being captain of the watch tonight, did look no better to that weighty charge. Alans, had all your quarters been as safely kept as that whereof I had the government, we had not been thus shamefully surprised. Bast, mine was secure. Raig, and so was mine, my lord. Charles, and for myself most part of all this night, within her quarter and mine own precinct, I was employed in passing to and fro, about reliewing of the sentinels. Then how or which way should they first break in? Ione, question my lords no further of the case. How or which way, 'tis sure they found some place, but weakly guarded where the breach was made. And now there rests no other shift but this, to gather our soldiers scattered and dispersed, and lay new platforms to endamage them. Exeunt. Alarum, enter a soldier, crying a Talbot, they fly, lowing their clothes behind. Sold, I'll be so bold to take what they ha' left. The cry of Talbot serues me for a sword, for I ha' loaden me with many spoils. Vi sing no other weapon but his name. Enter Talbot, Bedford, Burgundy. Bedf, the day begins to break and night is fled, whose pitchy mantle hour veiled the earth. Hear sound retreat and cease our hot pursuit. Retreat. Talb, bring forth the body of old Salisbury, and here aduance it in the marketplace, the middle censure of this cursed town. Now hore I paid my vow vnto his soul, for every drop of blood was drawn from him. There hath at least few Frenchmen died tonight, and that hereafter ages may behold what ruin happened in revenge of him. Within their chiefest temple I'll erect a tomb wherein his core shall be interred. Vipon the which, that every one may read, shall be engraved the Saki of Orleans, the treacherous manner of his mournful death, and what a terror he had been to France. But lords, in all our bloody massacre, I muse we met not with the Dolphin's grace, his new-come champion, virtuous Ion of Acre, nor any of his false confederates. Bedf, 'tis thought Lord Talbot, when the fight began, rose on the sudden from their drowsy beds. They did amongst the troops of armed men leap arre the walls for refuge in the field. Berg, myself, as far as I could well discern, for smoke and dusky vapours of the night, am sure I scarred the Dolphin and his trull, when arm in arm they both came swiftly running, like to a pair of lowing turtle dows, that could not leave asunder day or night. After that things are set in order here, we'll follow them with all the power we ha. Enter a messenger. Mess, all hail, my lords, which of this princely train call ye the warlike Talbot for his acts, so much applauded through the realmy of France? Talb, here is the Talbot who would speak with him. Mess, the virtuous lady, Countess of Aurigny, with modesty admiring thy renown, by me entreats, great lord, thou wouldst he vouchsafe to visit her poor castle where she lies, that she may boast she hath beheld the man whose glory fills the world with loud report. Berg, is it you and so? Nay, then I see our wars will turn vnto a peaceful comic sport, when ladies craw to be encountered with. You may not, my lord, despise her gentle suit. Talb, near trust me then, for when a world of men could not prevail with all their oratory, yet hath a woman's kindness our rolled, and therefore tell her I return great thanks, and in submission will attend on her. Will not your honours bear me company? Bedf, no, truly, 'tis more than manners will, and I ha heard it said, vn bidden guests are often welcomest when they are gone. Talb, well then, alone, since there's no remedy, I mean to prow this lady's courtesy. Come hither, captain, you pursue my mind. Whispers, Capt, I do, my lord, and mean accordingly. Exeunt. Enter Countess. Count, porter, remember what I go in charge, and when you ha done so, bring the keys to me. Port, madame, I will. Enter. Count, the plot is laid if all things fall out right. I shall as famous be by this exploit as Scythian Tomarus by Cyrus' death. Great is the rumour of this dreadful night, and his achievements of no less account. Fain would mine eyes be witness with mine ears to you their censure of these rare reports. Enter messenger and Talbot. Mess, madame, according as your ladyship desired. By message crowd, so is Lord Talbot come. Count, and he is welcome. What, is this the man? Mess, madame, it is. Count, is this the scourge of France? Is this the Talbot so much feared abroad, that with his name the mothers still their babes? I see report is fabulous and false. I thought I should have seen some Hercules, a second Hector for his grim aspect, and large proportion of his strong knit limbs. Alas, this is a child, a silly dwarf. It cannot be this weak and writhled shrimp should strike such terror to his enemies. Madame, I have been bold to trouble you, but since your ladyship is not at leisure, I'll sort some other time to visit you. Count, what means he now? Go ask him whither he goes. Mess, stay my Lord Talbot for my Lady Craw's, to know the cause of your abrupt departure. Mary, for that she's in a wrong belief. I go to certify her Talbot's here. Enter porter with keys. Count, if thou be he, then art thou prisoner. Prisoner to whom? Count, to me, bloodthirsty lord. And for that cause I trained thee to my house. Long time thy shadow hath been thrall to me, for in my gallery thy picture hangs. But now the substance shall endure the like, and I will chain these legs and arms of thine, that hast by tyranny these many years wasted our country, slain our citizens, and sent our sons and husbands captivate. Count, laughest thou, wretch? Thy mirth shall turn to moan. I laugh to see your ladyship so fond, to think that you whore aught but Talbot's shadow, whereon to practice your surety. Count, why art not thou the man? I am indeed. Count, then whore I substance too. No, I am but shadow of myself. You are deceived, my substance is not here. For what you see is but the smallest part, and least proportion of humanity. I tell you, madame, with the whole frame here, it is of such a spacious lofty pitch, your roof were not sufficient to contain it. Count, this is a riddling merchant for the nonce. He will be here, and yet he is not here. How can these contrarieties agree? That will I show you presently. Winds his horn, drums strike VP, a peal of ordnance, enter. Soldiers. How say you, madame, are you now persuaded that Talbot is but shadow of himself? These are his substance, sinews, arms, and strength, with which he yoketh your rebellious necks, raiseth your cities and subverts your towns, and in a moment makes them desolate. Count, victorious Talbot, pardon my abuse. I find thou art no less than fame hath bruited, and more than may be gathered by thy shape. Let my presumption not provoke thy wrath, for I am sorry that with ruerence I did not entertain thee as thou art. Be not dismayed, fair lady, nor misconster the mind of Talbot, as you did mistake the outward composition of his body. What you have done hath not offended me, nor other satisfaction do I craw, but onely with your patience that we may taste of your wine and see what cates you ha. For soldiers' stomachs always serry them well. Count, with all my heart, and think me honoured to feast so great a warrior in my house. Exeunt. Enter Richard Plantagenet, Warwick, Somerset, Poole, and others. York, great lords and gentlemen. What means this silence? Dare no man answer in a case of truth? Suff, within the temple hall we were too loud. The garden here is more convenient. York, then say at once if I maintain the truth, or else was wrangling Somerset in error. Suff, faith I have been a truant in the law, and newer yet could frame my will to it, and therefore frame the law vnto my will. Soam, urge you, my lord of Warwick, then between viz. War between two hawks which flies the higher pitch, between two dogs which hath the deeper mouth, between two blades which bears the better temper, between two horses which doth bear him best, between two girls which hath the merriest eye. I whore perhaps some shallow spirit of urgement, but in these nice sharp quillets of the law, good faith I am no wiser than a daw. York, tut tut, here is a mannerly forbearance. The truth appears so naked on my side, that any purblind eye may find it out. So, and on my side it is so well apparelled, so clear, so shining, and so evident, that it will glimmer through a blind man's eye. York, since you are tongue-tied and so loth to speak, in dumb significance proclaim your thoughts. Let him that is a true-born gentleman, and stands vipon the honour of his birth, if he suppose that I whore pleaded truth, from off this briar pluck a white rose with me. So, let him that is no coward nor no flatterer, but dare maintain the party of the truth, pluck a red rose from off this thorn with me. War I allow no colours, and without all colour, of base insinuating flattery, I pluck this white rose with Plantagenet. Suff, I pluck this red rose with young Somerset, and say withal I think he held the right. Vernon, stay lords and gentlemen, and pluck no more, till you conclude that he vipon whose side the fewest roses are cropped from the tree, shall yield the other in the right opinion. So, good Master Vernon, it is well obicted. If I whore fewest, I subscribe in silence. York and I. Vernon, then for the truth and plainness of the case, I pluck this pale and maiden blossom here, gewing my verdict on the white rose side. So, prick not your finger as you pluck it off, least bleeding you do paint the white rose red, and fall on my side so against your will. Vernon, if I, my lord, for my opinion bleed, opinion shall be surgeon to my hurt, and keep me on the side where still I am. So, well, come on, who else? Lawyer, unless my study and my books be false, the argument you held was wrong in you, in scene whereof I pluck a white rose too. York, now Somerset, where is your argument? So, here in my scabbard meditating that shall dye your white rose in a bloody red. York, meantime your cheeks do counterfeit our roses, for pale they look with fear, as witnessing the truth on our side. So, no Plantagenet, 'tis not for fear but anger that thy cheeks blush for pure shame to counterfeit our roses, and yet thy tongue will not confess thy error. York, hath not thy rose a canker, Somerset? So, hath not thy rose a thorn, Plantagenet? York, eye sharp and piercing to maintain his truth, whiles thy consuming canker eats his falsehood. So, well, I'll find friends to wear my bleeding roses, that shall maintain what I whore said is true, where false Plantagenet dare not be seen. York, now by this maiden blossom in my hand, I scorn thee and thy fashion, peewish boy. Suff, turn not thy scorns this way, Plantagenet. York, proud pool I will, and scorn both him and thee. Suff, I'll turn my part thereof into thy throat. So, away, good William de la Poole. We grace the yeoman by canoeing with him. Warwer, now by guards wilt thou wrongstee him, Somerset. His grandfather was Lionel Duke of Clarence, third son to the 3rd Edward King of England. Spring crestless yeomen from so deep a root. York, he bears him on the place's privilege, or durst not for his crown heart say thus. So, by him that made me, I'll maintain my words. On any plot of ground in Christendom, was not thy father, Richard, Earl of Cambridge, for treason executed in our late king's days? And by his treason stand'st he not thou attainted, corrupted and exempt from ancient gentry. His trespass yet lies guilty in thy blood. Until thou be restored, thou art a yeoman. York, my father, was attached, not attainted, condemned to die for treason, but no traitor. And that I'll prow on better men than Somerset, were growing time once ripened to my will. For your partaker Poole and you yourself, I'll note you in my book of memory, to scourge you for this apprehension. Look to it well and say you are well. Soame, thou shalt find these ready for thee still, and know these by these colours for thy foes. For these my friends in spite of thee shall wear. York, and by my soul this pale and angry rose, as cognizance of my blood-drinking hate, will I for you and my faction wear. The until it wither with me to my graw, or flourish to the height of my degree. Suff, go forward and be choked with thy ambition, and so farewell the until I meet thee next. Enter. Soame, haw with thee Poole, farewell ambitious Richard. Enter. York, how I am browed and must perforce endure it. Warwer, this blot that they obacked against your house shall be whipped out in the next Parliament, called for the truce of Winchester and Gloucester. And if thou be not then created York, I will not leave you to be accounted Warwick. Meantime, in signal of my low to thee, against proud Somerset and William Poole, will I vipon thy party where this rose. And here I prophesy, this brawl today, grown to this faction in the Temple Garden, shall send between the red rose and the white 1,000 souls to death and deadly night. York, good Master Vernon, I am bound to you, that you on my behalf would pluck a flower. In your behalf still will I wear the same. Lawyer, and so will I. York, thanks gentle. Come, let these four to dinner, I dare say. This quarrel will drink blood another day. Exeunt. Enter Mortimer, brought in a chair and Eilers. Mort, kind keepers of my weak decaying age, let dying Mortimer here rest himself. Ewan like a man new hailed from the rack, so fair my limbs with long imprisonment, and these grey locks the pursuance of death. Nestor like aged in an age of care, argue the end of Edmund Mortimer. These eyes like lamps whose wasting oil is spent, wax dim as drawing to their exigent. Weak shoulders, hour born with burthening grief, and pythless arms like to a withered vine, that droops his sapless branches to the ground. Yet are these feet whose strengthless stay is numb, vain able to support this lump of clay, swift-winged with desire to get a graw, as witting I no other comfort haw. But tell me, keeper, will my nephew come? Keeper, Richard Plantagenet my lord will come. We sent VNTO the temple, VNTO his chamber, and answer was returned that he will come. Mort enough, my soul shall then be satisfied. Poor gentleman, his wrong doth equal mine, since Henry Monmouth first began to reign, before whose glory I was great in arms. This loathsome sequestration hoar I had, and Ewan since then hath Richard been obscured, deprived of honour and inheritance. But now the arbitrator of despairs, erst death kind the empire of men's miseries, with sweet enlargement doth dismiss me hence. I would his troubles likewise were expired, that so he might recover what was lost. Enter Richard. Keeper, my lord, your lowing nephew now is come. More, Richard Plantagenet my friend is he come. Rich, I noble v and secly thus ignobly viest. Your nephew, late despised Richard, comes. Mort, direct mine arms I may embrace his neck, and in his bosom spend my latter gasp. Oh, tell me when my lips do touch his cheeks, that I may kindly gie you one fainting kiss. And now declare, sweet stem from York's great stark, why didst thou say of late thou wert despised? Rich, first lean thine aged back against mine arm, and in that ease I'll tell thee my disease. This day in argument vipon a case, some words there grew twixt Somerset and me, among which terms he vest his loish tongue, and did vp braid me with my father's death, which arblacqui set bars before my tongue, else with the like I had requited him. Therefore good and secretly, for my father's sake, in honour of a true Plantagenet, and for alliance sake, declare the My father, Earl of Cambridge, lost his head. Mort that cause, fair nephew, that imprisoned me, and hath detained me all my flowing use, within a loathsome dungeon, there to pine, was cursed instrument of his decease. Rich, discover more at large what cause that was, for I am ignorant and cannot guess. Mort I will, if that my fading breath permit, and death approach not ere my tale be done. Henry the Fourth, grandfather to this king, deposed his nephew Richard, Edward's son, the first begotten and the lawful heir of Edward King, the third of that descent, during whose reign the Percys of the North, finding his usurpation most veniest, endured my advancement to the throne. The reason moved these warlike lords to this was for that young Richard thus removed, lowing no heir begot of his body. I was the next by birth and parentage, for by my mother I derived am from Lionel Duke of Clarence, third son, to King Edward the Third, whereas he from Ion of Gaunt doth bring his pedigree, being but fourth of that heroic line. But mark, as in this haughty great attempt they laboured to plant the rightful heir, I lost my liberty and they their lives. Long after this, when Henry the Fifth, succeeding his father Bolingbroke, did reign, thy father, Earl of Cambridge, then derived from famous Edmund Langley, Duke of York, marrying my sister that thy mother was, again in pity of my hard distress, Louis an army, weening to redeem, and whore installed me in the diadem. But as the rest, so fell that noble earl, and was beheaded. Thus the Mortimers, in whom the title rested, were suppressed. Rich, of which my lord your honour is the last. Mort true, and thou seest that I no issue ha, and that my fainting words do warrant death. Thou art my heir, the rest I wish thee gather, but yet be wary in thy studious care. Rich, thy grow admonishments prevail with me, but yet methinks my father's execution was nothing less than bloody tyranny. Mort, with silence nephew be thou politic, strong fixed is the house of Lancaster, and like a mountain not to be removed. But now thy vian secretly is remowing hence, as princes do their courts when they are cloyed with long continuance in a settled place. Rich, Ovian secretly would some part of my young years might but redeem the passage of your age. Mort, thou dost he then wrong me as wise slaughterer doth, which geoeth many wounds when one will kill. Mourn not, except thou sorrow for my good, onely geu order for my funeral, and so farewell, and fair be all thy hopes, and prosperous be thy life in peace and war. Dies rich, and peace no war befall thy parting soul. In prison hast thou spent a pilgrimage, and like a hermit hour past thy days. Well, I will lock his counsel in my breast, and what I do imagine let that rest. Keepers canoe him hence, and I myself will see his burial better than his life. Enter. Here dies the dusky torch of Mortimer, choked with ambition of the meaner sort, and for those wrongs, those bitter iniries, which Somerset hath offered to my house, I doubt not but with honour to redress, and therefore haste I to the Parliament, either to be restored to my blood, or make my will advantage of my good. Enter Actus Tertius, Scena Prima. Flourish, enter King, Exeter, Gloucester, Winchester, Warwick. Somerset. Suffolk, Richard Plantagenet. Gloucester offers to put VP a bill. Winchester snatches it, tears it. Winch, calm'st thou with deep premeditated lines, with written pamphlets studiously dewised. Humphrey of Gloucester, if thou canst accuse, or aught intensity to lay vnto my charge, do it without inuntion, suddenly, as I with sudden and extemporal speech purpose to answer what thou canst obect. Glow, presumptuous priest, this place commands my patties, or thou shouldst find thou hast dishonoured me. Think not, although in writing I preferred the manner of thy vile outrageous crimes, that therefore I have forged, or am not able, verbatim to rehearse the method of my pen. No prelate, such is thy audacious wickedness, thy lewd, pestiferous and dissentious pranks, as very infants prattle of thy pride. Thou art a most pernicious visurer, froward by nature, enemy to peace, lascivious wanton, more than well beseems a man of thy profession and degree. And for thy treachery, what's more manifest, in that thou laidst a trap to take my life, as well at London Bridge as at the Tower. Beside, I fear me, if thy thoughts were sifted, the king thy sour Raney is not quite exempt from inurious malice of thy swelling heart. Winch, Gloucester, I do defy thee, lords vouchsafe to jew me hearing what I shall reply. If I were covetous, ambitious, or perilous, as he will haul me, how am I so poor? Or how haps it I seek not to adduance, or race myself, but keep my wonted calling? And for dissension, who preferreth peace more than I do, except I be prorogued? No, my good lords, it is not that offends. It is not that hath incensed the Duke. It is because no one should sway but he. No one but he should be about the king. And that engenders thunder in his breast, and makes him roar these accusations forth. But he shall know I am as good, Gloucester as good. Thou bastard of my grandfather. Winch, I lordly sir, for what are you, I pray? But one imperious in another's throne. Gloucester, am I not protector, saucy priest? Winch, and am not I a prelate of the church? Gloucester, yes, as an outlaw in a castle keeps, and saith it to patronage his theft. Winch, vn ruerant Gloucester. Gloucester, thou art ruerant, touching thy spiritual function, not thy life. Winch, Rome shall remedy this. Warwa, Rome's thither then. My lord, it were your duty to forbear. Soame, I see the bishop be not our born. Methinks my lord should be religious, and know the office that belongs to such. Warwa, methinks his lordship should be humbler. It fitteth not a prelate so to plead. Soame, yes, when his holy state is tucked so near. Warwa, state holy or vn hallowed, what of that? Is not his grace protector to the king? Rich Plantagenet I see must hold his tongue. Least it be said, speak sorrow when you should. Must your bold verdict enter talk with lords? Else would I whore a fling at Winchester. King vn Secles of Gloucester and of Winchester, the special watchmen of our English weal. I would preul if prayers might preul. To eye in your hearts in low and amity. Oh, what a scandal is it to our crown, that too such noble peers as ye should ira. Believe you me, lords, my tender years can tell. See you ill dissension is a viperous worm, that gnaws the bowels of the commonwealth. A noise within, down with the tawny coats. King, what tumult's this? Woe and vipror I dare warrant, begun through malice of the bishop's men. A noise again, stones. Enter Mayor. Mayor, O my good lords and virtuous Henry. Pity the city of London, pity these. The bishop and the Duke of Gloucester's men. Forbidden late to carry any weapon. Haw filled their pockets full of peeble stones, and banding themselves in contrary parts. Do pelt so fast at one another's pate, that many haw their giddy brains knocked out. Our windows are broke down in Uri Street, and we for fear compelled to shut our shops. Enter in skirmish with bloody pates. King, we charge you on allegiance to ourself, to hold your slaughtering hands and keep the peace. Pray, secretly Gloucester mitigate this strife. 1 Sorrowing, nay if we be forbidden stones we'll fall to it with our teeth. 2 Sorrowing, do what ye dare we are as resolute. Skirmish again. Gloucester, you of my household lo this piouish broil, and set this vain-accustomed fight aside. 3 Sorrow, my lord, we know your grace to be a man, earst and vipright, and for your royal birth, inferior to none but to his majesty, and ere that we will suffer such a prince, so kind a father of the commonweal, to be disgraced by an inkehorn mate. We and our weus and children all will fight, and haw our bodies slaughtered by thy foes. 1 Sorrow, I and the very parings of our nails shall pitch a field when we are dead. Begin agains. Gloucester, stay, I say. And if you allow me, as you say you do, let me persuade you to forbear a while. King, oh how this discord doth afflict my soul. Can you, my lord of Winchester, behold my sighs and tears and will not once relent? Who should be pitiful if you be not? Or who should study to prefer a peace, if holy churchmen take delight in broils? Warwa, yield my lord protector, yield Winchester, except you mean with obstinate repulse to slay your sour Rainey and destroy the realmy. You see what mischief and what murder too has been enacted through your enmity. Then be at peace, except ye thirst for blood. Winch, he shall submit, or I will newer yield. Gloucester, compassion on the king commands me stoop, or I would see his heart out ere the priest should you get that privilege of me. Warwa, behold my lord of Winchester, the Duke, hath banished moody discontented fury, as by his smoothed brows it doth appear. Why look you still so stern and tragical? Gloucester, here Winchester, I offer thee my hand. King, Fivey and Seekly Beaufort, I haw heard you preach that malice was a great and grievous sin, and will not you maintain the thing you teach, but prow a chief offender in the same? Warwa, sweet king, the bishop hath a kindly jeered. For shame, my lord of Winchester, relent. What shall a child instruct you what to do? Winch, well, Duke of Gloucester, I will yield to thee. Low for thy low, and hand for hand I gie you. Gloucester, but I fear me with a hollow heart. See here my friends and lowing countrymen, this token sereth for a flag of truce betwixt ourselves and all our followers. So help me God, as I dissemble not. Winch, so help me God, as I intend it not. King, O lowing Seekly, kind Duke of Gloucester, how eyesful am I made by this contract. Away my masters, trouble versus no more, but ein in friendship, as your lords haw done. 1 Sorrow, content I'll to the surgeons. 2 Sorrow, and so will Sorrow, and I will see what physic the tower affords. Exeunt. Warwer, accept this scroll, most gracious sour rainy, which in the right of Richard Plantagenet we do exhibite to your majesty. Glow well vrg'd my lord of Warwick, for sweet prince, and if your grace mark ewery circumstance, you have great reason to do Richard right, especially for those occasions. At Eltham Place I told your majesty, king, and those occasions vehemently were of force. Therefore, my lowing lords, our pleasure is that Richard be restored to his blood. Warwer, let Richard be restored to his blood. So shall his father's wrongs be recompensed. Winch, as will the rest, so willeth Winchester. King, if Richard will be true, not that all alone, but all the whole inheritance I gie you, that doth belong vnto the house of York, from whence you spring by lineal descent. Rich, thy humble servant vows obedience, and humble service till the point of death. King, stoop then, and set your knee against my foot, and in reguerdon of that duty done, I jeert thee with the valiant sword of York. Rise, Richard, like a true Plantagenet, and rise, created princely Duke of York. Rich, and so through you, Richard, as thy foes may fall, and as my duty springs, so perish they that grudge one thought against your majesty. All welcome, high prince, the mighty Duke of York. Soame perish, base prince, ignoble Duke of York. Gloucester, now will it best oil your majesty to cross the seas and to be crowned in France. The presence of a king engenders low amongst his subjects and his loyal friends, as it disanimates his enemies. King, when Gloucester says the word, King Henry goes, for friendly counsel cuts off many foes. Gloucester, your ships already are in readiness. Senate flourish exeunt. Man it Exeter. Exet I we may march in England or in France, not seeing what is likely to ensue. This late dissension grown betwixt the peers burns vienda feigned ashes of fogged low, and will at last break out into a flame, as festered members rot but by degree, till bones and flesh and sinews fall away. So will this base and injurious discord breed. And now I fear that fatal prophecy, which in the time of Henry named the fifth, was in the mouth of ewery sucking babe, that Henry born at Monmouth should win all, and Henry born at Windsor lose all, which is so plain that Exeter doth wish his days may finish ere that hapless time. Enter Scona Secunda. Enter Pucelle disguised, with 4 soldiers with sacks upon their backs. Pucelle, these are the city gates, the gates of Rhone, through which our policy must make a breach. Take heed, be wary how you place your words. Talk like the vulgar sort of market men that come to gather money for their corn. If we haw entrance, as I hope we shall, and that we find the slothful watch but weak, I'll by a scene gie you notice to our friends, that Charles the Dolphin may encounter them. Soldier, our sack shall be a mean to sack the city, and we be lords and rulers our own. Therefore we'll knock. Knock. Watch Chila. Pucelle, pisons la paueur gens de France. Poor market folks that come to sell their corn. Watch, enter, go in, the market bell is rung. Pucelle, now roan, I'll shake thy bulwarks to the ground. Exeunt. Enter Charles, bastard Alanson. Charles, Saint Denis bless this happy stratagem, and once Agin we'll sleep secure in Rhone. Bastard, here entered Pucelle and her practisance. Now she is there, how will she specify? Here is the best and safest passage in. Rake, by thrusting out a torch from yonder tower, which once discerned shows that her meaning is no way to that for weakness which she entered. Enter Pucelle on the top, thrusting out a torch burning. Pucelle, behold, this is the happy wedding torch that igneth roan vnto her countrymen, but burning fatal to the Talbonites. Bastard, see noble Charles the beacon of our friend. The burning torch in yonder turret stands. Charles, now shine it like a comet of ruinage, a prophet to the fall of all our foes. Rage, defer no time delays how dangerous ends. Enter and cry the dolphin presently, and then do execution on the watch. Alarum, an alarum, Talbot in an excursion. Talb, France, thou shalt rue this treason with thy tears. If Talbot but sorrow you thy treachery. Pucelle, that witch, that damned sorceress, hath wrought this hellish mischief in ours, that hardly we escape the pride of France. Enter. An alarum excursions, Bedford brought in sick in a chair. Enter Talbot and Burgundy without, within Pucelle Charles. Bastard end. Reignere on the walls. Pucelle, guard morrow gallants want ye corn for bread. I think the Duke of Burgundy will fast before he'll buy Agin at such a rate. 'Twas full of darnel, do you like the taste? Burg, scoff on vile fiend and shameless courtesan. I trust ere long to choke thee with thine own, and make thee curse the harvest of that corn. Charles, your grace may starru perhaps before that time. Bedf, oh let no words but deeds ruinge this treason. Pucelle, what will you do, good greybeard? Break a lance and run a tilt at death within a chair. Talb, foul fiend of France and hag of all despite, encompassed with thy lustful paramours, becomes it thee to taunt his valiant age, and twit with cowardice a man half dead? Damsel, I'll whore a boat with you again, or else let Talbot perish with this shame. Pucelle, are ye so hot, sir? Yet Pucelle, hold thy peace. If Talbot do but thunder, rain will follow. They whisper together in council. God speed the Parliament, who shall be the speaker? Talb, dare ye come forth and meet these in the field? Pucelle, belike your lordship takes these then for fools, to try if that our own be ours or no. Talb, I speak not to that railing Hecate, but vnto the Alanson and the rest. Will ye, like soldiers, come and fight it out? Alans, seigneur no. Talb, seigneur hang, base mulators of France. Like peasant footboys do they keep the walls, and dare not take VP arms like gentlemen. Pucelle, away captains, let's get these from the walls. For Talbot means no goodness by his looks. God be I my lord, we came but to tell you that we are here. Exeunt from the walls. Talb, and there will we be too ere it be long, or else reproach be Talbot's greatest fame. Thou Burgundy, by honour of thy house, pricked on by public wrongs sustained in France, either to get the town again or die. And I, as sure as English Henry Lewes, and as his father here was conqueror, as sure as in this late betrayed town great Cordelian's heart was buried, so sure I swear to get the town or die. Burg, my vows are equal partners with thy vows. Talb, but ere we go, regard this dying prince, the valiant Duke of Bedford. Come, my lord, we will bestow you in some better place, fitter for sickness and for crazy age. Bedf, Lord Talbot, do not so dishonour me. Here will I sit before the walls of Rhone, and will be partner of your weal or woe. Burg, courageous Bedford, let these now persuade you. Bedf, not to be gone from hence, for once I read that stout Pendragon in his litter sick came to the field and vanquished his foes. Methinks I should rue you the soldiers' hearts, because I you found them as myself. Talb, the daunted spirit in a dying breast. Then be it so, Hoens keep old Bedford safe. And now no more ado, braw Burgundy, but gather we our forces out of hand, and set Vipon our boasting enemy. Enter. An alarum excursions, enter Sir Ion Falstaff and a captain. Capt, whither away Sir Ion Falstaff in such haste? Falst, whither away, to soar myself by flight. We are like to whore the hour throw again. Capt, what, will you fly and lo Lord Talbot? Falst, I all the Talbots in the world to soar my life. Enter. Capt, cowardly knight, ill fortune follow thee. Enter. Retreat excursions, Pucelle Alanson and Charles fly. Bedf, now quiet soul depart when Hoen please. For I horse seen our enemies overthrow. What is the trust or strength of foolish man? They that of late were daring with their scoffs, are glad and fain by flight to soar themselves. Bedford dies and is carried in by two in his chair. An alarum, enter Talbot, Burgundy and the rest. Talb, lost and recowered in a day again. This is a double honour, Burgundy. Yet Hoens whole glory for this victory. Burg, warlike and martial Talbot, Burgundy, enshrines thee in his heart, and there erects thy noble deeds as valour's monuments. Talb, thanks gentle Duke, but where is Pucelle now? I think her old familiar is asleep. Now where's the bastard's Bras and Charles his glikes? What all amort, Roan hangs her head for grief, that such a valiant company are fled. Now will we take some order in the town, placing therein some expert officers, and then depart to Paris to the king, for there young Henry with his nobles lie. Burg, what wills Lord Talbot pleaseth Burgundy? Talb, but yet before we go let's not forget the noble Duke of Bedford, late deceased, but see his exequies fulfilled in Rhone. A brower soldier newer couched lance, a gentler heart did newer sway in court. But kings and mightiest potentates must die, for that's the end of humane misery. Exeunt. Scena tertia. Enter Charles, bastard Alanson Pucelle. Pucelle, dismay not princes at this accident, nor gree you that Rhone is so recowered. Care is no cure but rather corrose you, for things that are not to be remedied. Let frantic Talbot triumph for a while, and like a peacock sweep along his tail. We'll pull his plumes and take away his train, if Dolphin and the rest will be but rulled. Charles, we have been guided by thee hitherto, and of thy cunning had no diffidence. One sudden foil shall newer breed distrust. Bastard, search out thy wit for secret policies, and we will make thee famous through the world. Allans, we'll set thy statue in some holy place, and whore thee rueranked like a blessed saint. Employ thee then, sweet virgin, for our good. Pucelle, then thus it must be this doth I endures. By fair persuasions, mixed with sugrid words, we will entice the Duke of Burgundy to loathe the Talbot and to follow these. Charles, I merry Sweding if we could do that. France were no place for Henry's warriors, nor should that nation boast it so with these, but be extirped from our provinces. Allans, for ewer should they be expulsed from France, and not whore title of an earldom here. Pucelle, your honours shall pursue you how I will work to bring this matter to the wished end. Drum sounds afar off. Hark, by the sound of drum you may pursue. Their powers are marching VNTO Perisward. Hear sound an English march. There goes the Talbot with his colours spread, and all the troops of English after him. French march. Now in the reward comes the Duke and his. Fortune in 4 makes him lag behind. Summon a parley, we will talk with him. Trumpets sound a parley. Charles a parley with the Duke of Burgundy. Berg who craws a parley with the Burgundy. Pucelle, the princely Charles of France, thy countryman. Berg, what say'st thou, Charles, for I am marching. Hence. Charles, speak Pucelle and enchant him with words. Pucelle, braw Burgundy, the undoubted hope of France. Stay, let thy humble handmaid speak to thee. Berg, speak on, but be not our tedious. Pucelle, look on thy country, look on fertile France, and see the cities and the towns defact by wasting ruin of the cruel foe, as looks the mother on her lowly babe, when death doth close his tender dying eyes. See the pining malady of France. Behold the wounds, the most natural wounds, which thou thyself hast due in her waffle breast. O turn thy edged sword another way. Strike those that hurt, and hurt not those that help. One drop of blood drawn from thy country's bosom should grieve thee more than streams of foreign gore. Return thee therefore with a flood of tears, and wash away thy country's stained spots. Berg, either she hath bewitched me with her words, or nature makes me suddenly relent. Pucelle, besides all French and France exclaims on thee, doubting thy birth and lawful progeny. Who ain't thou with but with a lordly nation, that will not trust thee but for profit's sake? When Talbot hath set footing once in France, and fashioned thee that instrument of ill, who then but English Henry will be lord, and thou be thrust out like a fugitive? Call we to mind and mark but this for proof. Was not the Duke of Orleans thy foe? And was he not in England prisoner? But when they heard he was thine enemy, they set him free without his ransom paid, in spite of Burgundy and all his friends. See then thou fight'st against thy countrymen, and ainst with them will be thy slaughtermen. Come, return thou wandering lord. Charles and the rest will take thee in their arms. Berg, I am vanquished. These haughty words of hers whole battered me like roaring cannon shot, and made me almost yield upon my knees. Forge you me country and sweet countrymen, and lords accept this hearty kind embrace. My forces and my power of men are yours. So farewell Talbot, I'll no longer trust thee. Pucelle, done like a Frenchman, turn and turn again. Charles, welcome braw Duke, thy friendship makes versus fresh bastard, and doth beget new courage in our breast. Allens, Pucelle hath brawly played her part in this, and doth deserve a coronet of gold. Charles, now let these on, my lords, and eye in our powers, and seek how we may prejudice the foe. Exeunt. Scone a quarter. Enter the King, Gloucester, Winchester, York, Suffolk, Somerset, Warwick, Exeter, to them with his soldiers Talbot. Talb, my gracious prince and honourable peers, hearing of your ritual in this realmy, I horror while Jew and truce vnto my wars, to do my duty to my sour rainy, in scene whereof this arm that hath reclaimed to your obedience 50 fortresses, 12 cities and sewen walled towns of strength, beside few hundred prisoners of esteem. Let's fall his sword before your highness' feet, and with submissive loyalty of heart, ascribes the glory of his conquest got, first to my God, and next vnto your grace. King, is this the Lord Talbot vnseekly Gloucester, that hath so long been resident in France? Glast, yes, if it please your majesty, my liege. King, welcome braw captain and victorious lord. When I was young, as yet I am not old. I do remember how my father said, a stouter champion knew a handled sword. Long since we were resolute of your truth, your faithful service and your toil in war. Yet knew how you tasted our reward, or been reguerdoned with so much as thanks, because till now we never saw your face. Therefore stand VP, and for these good deserts, we here create you Earl of Shrewsbury, and in our coronation take your place. Senate flourish exeunt. Manet Vernon and Basset. Vern now, sir, to you that were so hot at sea, disgracing of these colours that I wear, in honour of my noble Lord of York. Darst thou maintain the former words thou spak'st? Bass, yes, sir, as well as you dare patronage the annuious barking of your saucy tongue against my lord the Duke of Somerset. Vern, sirrah, thy lord I honour as he is. Bass, why, what is he, as good a man as York? Vern, hark ye not so, in witness take ye that. Strikes him. Bass, villain, thou knowest, the law of arms is such, that whoso draws a sword, tease present death, or else this blow should broach thy dearest bloud. But I'll VNTO his majesty, and craw, I may whore liberty to venge this wrong. When thou shalt see, I'll meet thee to thy cost. Vern, well, miscreant, I'll be there as soon as you, and after meet you sooner than you would. Exeunt. Actus quartus, Shana prima. Enter King, Gloucester, Winchester, York, Suffolk, Somerset, Warwick, Talbot and Gowerner, Exeter. Glow, Lord Bishop set the crown upon his head. Win, God saw King Henry of that name the sixth. Glow, now Gowerner of Paris, take your oath, that you elect no other king but him. Esteem none friends, but such as are his friends, and none your foes but such as shall pretend malicious practices against his state. This shall ye do, so help you righteous God. Enter Falstaff. Foul, my gracious sour Rainy, as I rode from Calais, to haste VNTO your coronation, a letter was delivered to my hands, writ to your grace from Th Duke of Burgundy. Tal, shame to the Duke of Burgundy and thee. I vowed, base knight, when I did meet the next, to tear the garter from thy crone's leg, which I haw done because, VN worthily, thou wast installed in that high degree. Pardon me, princely Henry, and the rest. This dastard at the battle of Poictiers, when but in all I was 6,000 strong, and that the French were almost 10 to 1, before we met, or that a stroke was genuine, like to a trusty squire did run away, in which assault we lost 1,200 men. Myself and Dewar's gentlemen beside were there surprised and taken prisoners. Then urge, great lords, if I haw done amiss, or whether that such cowards ought to wear this ornament of knighthood, yea or no. Glow, to say the truth, this fact was infamous, and ill beseeming any common man, much more a knight, a captain, and a leader. Tal, when first this order was ordained, my lords, knights of the Garter were of noble birth, valiant and virtuous, full of haughty courage, such as were grown to credit by the wars, not fearing death nor shrinking for distress, but always resolute in most extremes. He then that is not furnished in this sort doth but usurp the sacred name of knight, profaning this most honourable order, and should, if I were worthy to be urge, be quite degraded, like a hedge-born swain, that doth presume to boast of gentle blood. Stain to thy countrymen, thou hear'st thy doom. Be packing therefore, thou that wast a knight. Henceforth we banish thee on pain of death. And now, Lord Protector, view the letter, sent from our unseekly Duke of Burgundy. Glow, what means his grace that he hath chonged his style? No more but plain and bluntly, to the king. Hath he forgot he is his sour rainy? Or doth this churlish superscription pretend some alteration in goodwill? What's here, I ho vipan especial cause, mood with compassion of my country's raki, together with the pitiful complaints of such as your oppression feeds vipan, forsaken your pernicious faction, and eined with Charles, the rightful King of France. O monstrous treachery, can this be so, that in alliance, amity, and oaths, there should be found such false dissembling guile? King, what doth my unseekly Burgundy ruled? Glow, he doth my lord and is become your foe. King, is that the worst this letter doth contain? Glow, it is the worst, and all my lord he writes. King, why then Lord Talbot there shall talk with him, and jew him chastisement for this abuse. How say you, my lord, are you not content? Tal content, my liege, yes, but why I am pruented. I should ha begged I might ha Benny employed. King, then gather strength and march vnto him. Straight. Let him perceive you how ill we brook his treason, and what offence it is to flout his friends. Tal, I go my lord in heart desiring still, you may behold confusion of your foes. Enter Vernon and Basset. Grant me the combat, gracious sour rainy. Bars, and me my lord, grant me the combat too. York, this is my Servant, hear him, noble prince. Soame, and this is mine, sweet Henry, for him. King, be patient lords, and jew them low to speak. Say, gentlemen, what makes you thus exclaim? And wherefore craw you combat, or with whom? With him, my lord, for he hath done me wrong. Bars, and I with him, for he hath done me wrong. King, what is that wrong whereof you both complain? First let me know, and then I'll answer you. Bars, crossing the sea from England into France. This fellow here with inurious carping tongue VP braided me about the rose I wear, saying the sanguine colour of the lows did represent my master's blushing cheeks, when stubbornly he did repugny the truth about a certain question in the law, argued betwixt the Duke of York and him, with other vile and ignominious terms, in confutation of which rude reproach, and in defence of my lord's worthiness, I craw the benefit of law of arms. And that is my petition, noble lord. For though he seem with forged quaint conceit to set a gloss vipon his bold intent, yet know, my lord, I was prowocked by him, and he first took exceptions at this badge, pronouncing that the paleness of this flower bewrayed the faintness of my master's heart. York, will not this malice Somerset be left? Soame, your preuate grudge my lord of York will out, though near so cunningly you smother it. King, good lord, what madness rules in Brainesic men, when for so slight and frivolous a cause such factious emulations shall arise. Good carsons both of York and Somerset, quiet yourselves, I pray, and be at peace. York, let this dissension first be tried by fight, and then your highness shall command a peace. Soame, the quarrel toucheth none but these alone. Betwixt ourselves let these decide it then. York, there is my pledge, accept it Somerset. Nay, let it rest where it began at first. Bass, confirm it so, mine honourable lord. Glow, confirm it so, confounded be your strife, and perish ye with your audacious prate. Presumptuous vassals, are you not ashamed, with this immodest clamorous outrage, to trouble and disturb the king and these? And you, my lords, methinks you do not well to bear with their perilous objections, much less to take occasion from their mouths to raise a mutiny betwixt yourselves. Let me persuade you take a better course. Except it grieves his highness. Good my lords, be friends. King, come hither, you that would be combatants. Henceforth I charge you, as you low are for, quite to forget this quarrel and the cause. And you, my lords, remember where we are. In France, amongst a fickle wowering nation. If they pursue dissension in our looks, and that within ourselves we disagree, how will their grudging stomachs be provoked to wilful disobedience and rebel? Beside, what infamy will there arise, when foreign princes shall be certified, that for a toy, a thing of no regard, King Henry's peers and chief nobility destroyed themselves and lost the realm of France. O think vipon the conquest of my father, my tender years, and let these not forego, that for a trifle that was bought with blood. Let me be the emperor in this doubtful strife. I see no reason, if I wear this rose, that anyone should therefore be suspicious. I more incline to Somerset than York. Both are my kinsmen, and I allow them both. As well they may VP braid me with my crown, because forsooth the King of Scots is crowned. But your discretions better can persuade, then I am able to instruct or teach. And therefore, as we hither came in peace, so let these still continue peace and low. Carson of York, we institute your grace to be our regent in these parts of France. And good my lord of Somerset, the knight, your troops of horsemen with his bands of foot, and like true subjects, sons of your progenitors, go cheerfully together and digest your angry choler on your enemies. Ourself, my lord protector, and the rest, after some respite will return to Calais, from thence to England, where I hope ere long to be presented by your victories, with Charles Alanson and that traitorous rout. Exeunt Manet, York, Warwick, Exeter, Vernon. War, my lord of York, I promise you the king prettily methought did play the orator. York, and so he did, but yet I like it not, in that he wears the badge of Somerset. War, tush, that was but his fancy, blame him not. I dare presume, sweet prince, he thought no harm. York, and if I wish he did, but let it rest. Other affairs must now be managed. Exeunt. Flourish, Manet, Exeter. Exet, well didst thou, Richard, to suppress thy voice. For had the passions of thy heart burst out, I fear we should have seen deciphered there more rancorous spite, more furious raging broils, than yet can be imagined or surpassed. But housera no simple man that sees this iring discord of nobility, this shouldering of each other in the court, this factious bandying of their forerights, but that it doth presage some ill euent. 'Tis much when sceptres are in children's hands, but more when in eye breeds the enkind dusion. There comes the roin, there begins confusion. Enter Talbot with trump and drum before Burdo. Talb, go to the gates of Burdo, trumpeter. Summon their general Vientio the wall. Sounds it. Enter general aloft. English Iron Talbot, captains, call you forth. Servant in arms to Harry King of England. And thus he would, open your city gates. Be humble to these, call my sour rainy yours. And do him homage as obedient subjects. And I'll withdraw me and my bloody power. But if you frown upon this proffered peace, you tempt the fury of my 3 attendants. Lean famine, quartering steel and climbing fire, who in a moment ewan with the earth shall lay your stately and air-broiling towers, if you forsake the offer of their low cap, thou ominous and fearful owl of death, our nation's terror and their bloody scourge. The period of thy tyranny approacheth. On versus thou canst not enter but by death. For I protest we are well fortified, and strong enough to issue out and fight. If thou retire, the dolphin well appointed stands with the snares of war to tangle thee. On either hand thee there are squadrons pitched, to wall thee from the liberty of flight. And no way canst thou turn thee for redress, but death doth front thee with apparent spoil, and pale destruction meets thee in the face. 10,000 French hortain the sacrament, to view their dangerous artillery. Vipon no Christian soul but English Talbot. Lo, there thou stand'st a breathing valiant man, of an invincible unconquered spirit. This is the latest glory of thy praise, that I thy enemy do thee withal. For ere the glass that now begins to run finish the process of his sandy hour, these eyes that see thee now well coloured shall see thee withered, bloody, pale and dead. Drum afar off. Hark, hark, the dolphin's drum, a warning bell, sings hoey music to thy timorous soul, and mine shall ring thy dire departure out. Exit. Tal, he fables not, I hear the enemy. Out some light horsemen and peruse their wings. O negligent and heedless discipline! How are we parked and bounded in a pale, a little herd of England's timorous deer, mazed with a yelping kennel of French curs. If we be English deer, be then in blood, not rascal-like to fall down with a pinch, but rather moody mad, and desperate staggers. Turn on the bloody hounds with heads of steel, and make the cowards stand aloof at bay. Sell Ury man his life as dear as mine, and they shall find dear of versus my friends. God and S. George, Talbot and England's right. Prosper our colours in this dangerous fight. Enter a messenger that meets York, enter York with trumpet, and many soldiers. York are not the speedy scouts returned again, that dogged the mighty army of the Dolphin. Mess, they are returned, my lord, and gew it out, that he is marched to Bordeaux with his power, to fight with Talbot as he marched along. By your espials were discowered 2 mightier troops than that the Dolphin led, which eined with him and made their march for Bordeaux. York, a plague vipon that villain Somerset, that thus delays my promised supply of horsemen that were louied for this siege. Renowned Talbot doth expect my aid, and I am loaded by a traitor villain, and cannot help the noble Tulier. God comfort him in this necessity. If he miscarry, farewell wars in France. Enter another messenger. To me's thou princely leader of our English strength, newer so needful on the earth of France. Spur to the rescue of the noble Talbot, who now is girdled with a waist of iron, and hemmed about with grim destruction. To Bordeaux warlike Duke, to Bordeaux York. Else farewell Talbot, France and England's honour. York, O God, that Somerset who in proud heart doth stop my cornets were in Talbot's place. So should we soar a valiant gentleman, by forfeiting a traitor and a coward. Mad ire and wrathful fury makes me weep, that thus we die while remiss traitors sleep. Me's, oh send some succour to the distressed lord. York he dies we loose, I break my warlike word. We mourn France smiles, we loose they daily get. All long of this vile traitor Somerset. Me's, then God take mercy on Bra Talbot's soul, and on his son young Ion, who 2 hours since I met in Troyal toward his warlike father. This 7 years did not Talbot see his son, and now they meet where both their lives are done. York, alas, what I shall noble Talbot ha, to bid his young son welcome to his graw. Away vexation almost stops my breath, that sundred friends greet in the hour of death. Lucy, farewell, no more my fortune can, but curse the cause I cannot aid the man. Maine, Blois, Poitiers and Tours are won away, long all of Somerset and his delay. Exit. Mise, thus while the vulture of sedition feeds in the bosom of such great commanders, sleeping negulction doth betray to loss the conquest of our scarce gold conqueror, that ewer-leading man of memory. Henry V, whiles they each other cross, Liu's honours, lands, and all hurry to loss. Enters Somerset with his army. Soame, it is too late, I cannot send them now. This expedition was by York and Talbot, too rashly plotted. All our general force might with a sally of the very town be buckled with. The our daring Talbot hath sullied all his gloss of former honour by this VN heedful, desperate, wilder adventure. York set him on to fight and die in shame. That Talbot dead, great York might bear the name. Cap, here is Sir William Lucy, who with me set from our o'ermatched forces forth for Ide. Soame, how now, Sir William, whether were you sent? Lou, whether my lord from bought and sold L. Talbot, who ringed about with bold audacity, cries out for noble York and Somerset, to beat assailing death from his weak regions. And whiles the honourable captain there drops bloody sweat from his war-wearied limbs, and in advantage lingering looks for rescue, you his false hopes, the trust of England's honour, keep off aloof with worthless emulation. Let not your private discord keep away the louised succours that should lend him aid, while he renowned noble gentleman yield VP his life VNTO a world of odds. Orleans the bastard, Charles Burgundy, Alanson reignard compass him about, and Talbot perisheth by your default. Soame, York set him on, York should ha sent him. Ide. Luke, and York as fast vpon your grace exclaims, swearing that you withhold his louised host, collected for this expedition. Soame, York lies, he might ha sent and had the horse. I owe him little duty and less low, and take foul scorn to fawn on him by sending Lou, the fraud of England, not the force of France, hath now intripped the noble-minded Talbot. Newer to England shall he bear his life, but dies betrayed to fortune by your strife. Soame, come go, I will dispatch the horsemen straight. Within 6 hours they will be at his Ide. Lou, too late comes rescue, he is ta'en or slain. For fly he could not if he would ha fled, and fly would Talbot newer though he might. Soame, if he be dead, bra Talbot then adieu. Lou, his fame lius in the world, his shame in you. Exeunt. Enter Talbot and his son. Tal, O young Iron Talbot, I did send for thee, to tutor thee in stratagems of war, that Talbot's name might be in thee rued, when sapless age and weak venable limbs should bring thy father to his drooping chair. But O malignant and ill-boding stars, now thou art come VNTO a feast of death, a terrible and venorded danger. Therefore, dear boy, mount on my swiftest horse, and I'll direct thee how thou shalt escape. By sardine flight, come dally not be gone. Iron is my name Talbot, and am I your son? And shall I fly, oh, if you allow my mother dishonour not her honourable name, to make a bastard and a slaw of me? The world will say, he is not Talbot's blood, that basely fled when noble Talbot stood. Talb, fly to ruin my death if I be slain. Ion, he that flies so will ne'er return again. Talb, if we both stay we both are sure to die. Ion, then let me stay and farther do you fly. Your loss is great, so your regard should be. My worth vn known, no loss is known in me. Vpon my death the French can little boast. In yours they will, in you all hopes are lost. Flight cannot stain the honour you haw won. But mine it will, that no exploit haw done. You fled for vantage, usury one will swear. But if I bow, they'll say it was for fear. There is no hope that you or I will stay. If the first hurry I shrink and run away. Here on my knee I beg mortality, rather than life pursued with infamy. Talb, shall all thy mother's hopes lie in one tarm? Ion, I rather than I'll shame my mother's wam. Talb, vpon my blessing I command thee go. Ion, to fight I will but not to fly the foe. Talb, part of thy father may be sowed in thee. Ion, no part of him but will be shame in me. Talb, thou never hadst renown, nor canst not lose it. Ion, yes, your renowned name, shall flight abuse it. Talb, thy father's charge shall clear thee from why stain. Ion, you cannot witness for me being slain. If death be so apparent, then both fly. Talb, and lo my followers here to fight and die. My age was newer tainted with such shame. Ion, and shall my youth be guilty of such blame? No more can I be sewered from your side. Then can yourself in twain divide. Stay go, do what you will the like do I. For you I will not if my father die. Talb, then here I take my low of thee fair son. Born to eclipse thy life this afternoon. Come side by side, together liu and die. And soul with soul from France to Hohen fly. Enter. Alarum, excursions, wherein Talbot's son is hemmed about and Talbot rescues him. Talb, St. George and victory, fight soldiers fight. The regent hath with Talbot broke his word, and left versus to the rage of France his sword. Where is Ion Talbot? Pause and take thy breath. I gore thee life and rescued thee from death. Ion, O twice my father, twice am I thy son. The life thou gorst me first was lost and done, till with thy warlike sword, despite of fate, to my determined time thou gorst new date. Talb, when fro the dolphin's crest thy sword struck fire, it warmed thy father's heart with proud desire of bold fact victory, then leaden age, quickened with youthful spleen and warlike rage, beat down Alanson, Orleans, Burgundy, and from the pride of Gallia rescued thee, the ireful bastard Orleans that drew blood from thee my boy and had the maidenhood. Of thy first fight I soon encountered, and interchanging blows I quickly shed some of his bastard blood, and in disgrace bespoke him thus, contaminated base, and me's begotten blood I spill of thine, mean and right poor, for that pure blood of mine, which thou didst force from Talbot my braw boy, here purposing the bastard to destroy, came in strong rescue. Speak thy father's care. Art thou not weary, Ion? How dost thou fare? Wilt thou yet loathe the battle, boy, and fly? Now thou art sealed the son of chivalry. Fly to ruin my death when I am dead. The help of one stands me in little stead. Oh, too much folly is it, well I wot, to hazard all our lius in one small boat. If I today die not with Frenchman's rage, tomorrow I shall die with mickle age. By me they nothing gain, and if I stay, 'tis but the shortening of my life one day. In thee thy mother dies, our household's name. My death's revenge thy youth and England's fame. All these and more we hazard by thy stay. All these are sowed, if thou wilt fly away. Ion, the sword of Orleans hath not made me smart. These words of yours draw lifeblood from my heart. On that advantage, bought with such a shame, to soar a paltry life and slay bright fame. Before young Talbot from old Talbot fly, the coward horse that bears me, fall and die. And like me to the peasant boys of France, to be shamed, scorn, and subject of mischance. Surely by all the glory you ha won, and if I fly I am not Talbot's son. Then talk no more of flight, it is no boot. If son to Talbot, die at Talbot's foot. Talb, then follow thou thy disparate sire of Crete. Thou Icarus, thy life to me is sweet. If thou wilt fight, fight by thy father's side. And commendable prude, let's die in pride. Enter. Alarum excursions, enter old Talbot led. Talb, where is my other life? Mine own is gone. Oh, where's young Talbot? Where is valiant Ione? Triumphant death, smeared with captivity. Young Talbot's valour makes me smile at thee. When he pursued me, shrink, and on my knee, his bloody sword he brandished o'er me, and like a hungry lion did commence rough deeds of rage and stern impatience. But when my angry guardian stood alone, tendering my ruin and assailed of none, dizzy-eyed fury and great rage of heart suddenly made him from my side to start into the clustering battle of the French, and in that sea of blood my boy did drench his mounting spirit, and there did my Icarus, my blossom in his pride, enter with Ione Talbot born. Sarah, O my dear lord, lo where your son is born. Tal, thou antique death which laughs thee verses here to scorn, anon from thy insulting tyranny, coupled in bonds of perpetuity, two Talbots winged through the lither sky, in thy despite shall scape mortality. O thou whose wounds become hard forward death, speak to thy father ere thou yield thy breath. Broad death by speaking, whether he will or no. Imagine him a Frenchman and thy foe. Poor boy, he smiles methinks as who should say, had death been he French, then death had died today. Come, come, and lay him in his father's arms. My spirit can no longer bear these harms. Soldiers, adieu, I haw what I would haw. Now my old arms are young Ione Talbot's grow. Dies. Enter Charles, Alanson, Burgundy, bastard and Pucelle. Char, had York and Somerset brought rescue in, we should haw found a bloody day of this. Bast, how the young whelp of Talbot's raging wood did flesh his puny sword in Frenchman's blood. Puck, once I encountered him, and thus I said, thou maiden youth, be vanquished by a maid. But with a proud majestical high scorn, he answered thus, young Talbot was not born to be the pillage of a giglot wench. So rushing in the bowels of the French, he left me proudly, as vn worthy fight. Doubtless he would haw made a noble knight. See where he lies inhersed in the arms of the most bloody nurser of his harms. Bast, hew them to pieces, hack their bones asunder, whose life was England's glory, Gallia's wonder. Char, O no forbear, for that which we haw fled. During the life let these not wrong it dead. Enter Lucy. Lou, herald, conduct me to the dolphin's tent, to know who hath obtained the glory of the day. Char, on what submissive message art thou sent? Lucy, submission dolphin, 'tis a mere French word. We English warriors wot not what it means. I come to know what prisoners thou hast ta'en, and to survey the bodies of the dead. Char, for prisoners ask'st thou, hell our prison is. But tell me whom thou seek'st. Luke, but where's the great Alcides of the field? Valiant Lord Talbot, Earl of Shrewsbury, created for his rare success in arms. Great Earl of Washford, Waterford and Valence, Lord Talbot of Goodrig and Archinfield, Lord Strange of Blackmere, Lord Verdon of Alton, Lord Cromwell of Winchfield, Lord Fernewall of Sheffield, the thrice victorious Lord of Falconbridge, Knight of the Noble Order of S. George, worthy S. Michael and the Golden Fleece, Great Marshal to Henry VI, of all his wars within the realmy of France. Puck, here's a silly stately style indeed. The Turk that 52 kingdoms hath, writes not so tedious a style as this. Him that thou magnifiest with all these titles, stinking and fly-blown lies here at our feet. Lucy, is Talbot slain the Frenchman's only scourge, your kingdom's terror and blacky nemesis? Oh, were mine eyeballs into bullets turned, that I in rage might shoot them at your faces. Oh, that I could but call these dead to life. It were enough to fright the realmy of France. Were but his picture left amongst you here, it would amaze the proudest of you all. Gee me their bodies that I may bear them hence, and gee them burial as beseems their worth. Pusel, I think this VP start is old Talbot's ghost. He speaks with such a proud commanding spirit. For God's sake let him whore him to keep them here. They would but stink and putrefy the air. Char, go take their bodies hence. Lucy, I'll bear them hence, but from their ashes shall be reared a phoenix that shall make all France. Char, so we be rid of them, do with him what why wilt. And now to Paris in this conquering vein. All will be ours now bloody Talbot's slain. Enter Shayna Secunda, Senate. Enter King Gloucester and Exeter. King, how you peruse the letters from the Pope, the Emperor and the Earl of Armagnac. Glow, I haw my lord, and their intent is this. They humbly sue VNTO your excellence, to haw a godly peace concluded of, between the realms of England and of France. King, how doth your grace affect their motion? Glow, well my good lord, and as the only means to stop effusion of our Christian blood, and stablish quietness on Uri side. King, I marry Vien secretly, for I always thought it was both impious and Vien natural, that such immanity and bloody strife should reign among professors of one faith. Glow, beside my lord the sooner to effect, and surer bind this knot of amity. The Earl of Armagnac near knit to Charles, a man of great authority in France, proffers his only daughter to your grace, in marriage with a large and sumptuous dowry. King, marriage Vien secretly, alas my years are young, and fitter is my study and my books, than wanton dalliance with a paramour. Yet call ambassadors, and as you please, so let them whore their answers Uri one. I shall be well content with any choice, tends to God's glory and my country's weal. Enter Winchester and 3 ambassadors. Exet, what is my lord of Winchester installed, and called VNTO a cardinal's degree? Then I perceive you, that will be verified. Henry V did sometime prophecy, if once he come to be a cardinal, he'll make his cap co-equal with the crown. King, my lord's ambassadors your surall sweets, haw been considered and debated on. Your purpose is both good and reasonable, and therefore are we certainly resolute to draw conditions of a friendly peace, which by my lord of Winchester we mean shall be transported presently to France. Glow, and for the proffer of my lord your master, I haw informed his highness so at large, as liking of the lady's virtuous gifts, her beauty and the value of her dower. He doth intend she shall be England's queen. King, in argument and proof of which contract, bear her this ewel, pledge of my affection, and so my lord protector see them guarded. and safely brought to Dower, wherein shipped. Commit them to the fortune of the sea. Exeunt. Win, stay my lord legate, you shall first receive you. The sum of money which I promised should be delivered to his holiness, for clothing me in these graw ornaments. Legate, I will attend upon your lordship's leisure. Win, now Winchester will not submit, I trow, or be inferior to the proudest peer. Humphrey of Gloucester, thou shalt well perceive that neither in birth or for authority the bishop will be hour born by thee. I'll either make thee stoop and bend thy knee, or sack this country with a mutiny. Exeunt. Scona tertia. Enter Charles Burgundy, Alanson, Bastard, Regnier and Ione. Char, these news, my lords, may cheer our drooping spirits. 'Tis said the stout Parisians do revolt, and turn agin VNTO the warlike French. Alan, then march to Paris, royal Charles of France, and keep not back your powers in dalliance. Pucel, peace be amongst them if they turn to these, else ruin combat with their palaces. Enter Scout. Scout, success VNTO our valiant general, and happiness to his accomplices. Char, what tidings send our scouts, I prithee speak. Scout, the English army that divided was into two parties is now conjoined in one, and means to giu you battle presently. Char, somewhat too sodden, sirs, the warning is, but we will presently provide for them. Burr, I trust the ghost of Talbot is not there. Now he is gone, my lord, you need not fear. Pucel, of all base passions, fear is most accursed. Command the conquest, Charles, it shall be thine. Let Henry fret, and all the world repine. Char, then on my lords and France be fortunate. Exeunt alarum excursions. Enter Ione de Pucel. Puck, the regent conquers and the Frenchmen fly. Now help ye charming spells and periapts, and ye choice spirits that admonish me, and giu me signs of future accidents. Thunder, you speedy helpers that are substitutes. Viender, the lordly monarch of the north, appear and aid me in this enterprise. Enter fiends. This speedy and quick appearance argues proof of your accustomed diligence to me. Now ye familiar spirits that are culled out of the powerful regions viender earth, help me this once that France may get the field. They walk and speak not. Oh, hold me not with silence hour long, where I was wont to feed you with my blood. I'll lap a member off and giu it you, in earnest of a further benefit. So you do condescend to help me now. They hang their heads. No hope to whore redress, my body shall pay recompense if you will grant my sweet. They shake their heads. Cannot my body nor blood sacrifice entreat you to your wonted furtherance? Then take my soul, my body, soul and all. Before that England giu the French the foil. They depart. See, they forsake me, now the time is come that France must veil her lofty plumed crest, and let her head fall into England's lap. My ancient incantations are too weak, and hell too strong for me to buckle with. Now France thy glory droopeth to the dust. Enter. Excursions, Burgundy and York fight hand to hand, French fly. York, damsel of France, I think I hold you fast. Vienne, chain your spirits now with spelling charms, and try if they can gain your liberty. A goodly prize fit for the deal's grace. See how the Vigli witch doth bend her brows, as if with Circe she would change my shape. Puck, chang to a worser shape thou canst not be. Your, oh, Charles the Dolphin is a proper man. No shape but his can please your dainty eye. Puck, a plaguing mischief light on Charles and thee. And may ye both be suddenly surprised by blowdy hands in sleeping on your beds. York, fell banning hag, enchantress hold thy tongue. Puck, I prithee gew me low to curse a while. York, curse miscreant when thou comest to the stake. Exeunt. Alarum, enters Suffolk with Margaret in his hand. Suff, be what thou wilt, thou art my prisoner. Gazes on her. O fairest beauty, do not fear nor fly. For I will touch thee but with ruined hands. I kiss these fingers for eternal peace, and lay them gently on thy tender side. Who art thou, say, that I may honour thee? Margaret my name, and daughter to a king. The King of Naples, whosoe'er thou art. Suff, an earl I am, in Suffolk am I called. Be not offended nature's miracle. Thou art allotted to be ta'en by me. So doth the swan her downy cygnet soar, keeping them prisoner underneath his wings. Yet if this servile visage once offend, go and be free again as Suffolk's friend. She is going. Oh stay, I hold no power to let her pass. My hand would free her, but my heart says no. As plays the sun upon the glassy streams, twinkling another counterfeited beam, so seems this gorgeous beauty to mine eyes. Fain would I woe her, yet I dare not speak. I'll call for pen and inky, and write my mind. Fi de la pole, disable not thyself. Hast not a tongue, is she not here? Wilt thou be daunted at a woman's sight? I beauty's princely majesty is such, confounds the tongue and makes the senses rough. Marseille, Earl of Suffolk, if thy name be so, what ransom must I pay before I pass? For I perceive you I am thy prisoner. Suff, how canst thou tell she will deny thy sweet, before thou make a trial of her low? Why speak'st thou not, what ransom must I pay? Suff, she's beautiful, and therefore to be wooed. She is a woman, therefore to be won. Wilt thou accept of ransom, yea or no? Suff, fond man, remember that thou hast a wife. Then how can Margaret be thy paramour? I were best to loe him, for he will not hear. Suff, there all is marred, there lies a cooling card. He talks at random, sure the man is mad. Suff, and yet a dispensation may be had. And yet I would that you would answer me. Suff, I'll win this Lady Margaret for whom? Why, for my king, tush, that's a wooden thing. He talks of wood, it is some carpenter. Suff, yet so my fancy may be satisfied, and peace established between these realms. But there remains a scruple in that too. For though her father be the King of Naples, Duke of Anjou and Maine, yet is he poor, and our nobility will scorn the match. Hear ye, captain, are you not at leisure? Suff, it shall be so, disdain they near so much. Henry is youthful and will quickly yield. Madam, I whore a secret to Ruil. What though I be enthralled, he seems a knight, and will not any way dishonour me. Suff, lady, vouchsafe to listen what I say. Perhaps I shall be rescued by the French, and then I need not craw his courtesy. Suff, sweet madam, gew me hearing in a cause. Tush, women whore benny captuit erna. Suff, lady, wherefore talk you so? I cry you mercy, 'tis but quid for qua. Suff, say gentle princess, would you not suppose your bondage happy to be made a queen? To be a queen in bondage is more vile than is a slaw in base servility. For princes should be free. Suff, and so shall you, if happy England's royal king be free. Why, what concerns his freedom vnto me? Suff, I'll undertake to make thee Henry's queen, to put a golden sceptre in thy hand, and set a precious crown upon thy head, if thou wilt condescend to be my Mar what? Suff his lout. Mar I am worthy to be Henry's wife. Suff no gentle madam I worthy am, to woe so fair a dame to be his wife, and haw no portion in the choice myself. How say you, madam, are ye so content? Mar and if my father please I am content. Suff then call our captains and our colours forth, and madam at your father's castle walls, we'll craw a parley to confer with him. Sound, enter Regnier on the walls. See Regnier, see thy daughter prisoner. Reg to whom? Suff to me. Reg Suffolk, what remedy? I am a soldier and venapt to weep, or to exclaim on fortune's fickleness. Suff, yes, there is remedy enough, my lord. Consent, and for thy honour do you consent. Thy daughter shall be wedded to my king, whom I with pain ha wooed and won thereto. And this her easy held imprisonment hath gained thy daughter princely liberty. Reg speaks Suffolk as he thinks. Suff, fair Margaret knows that Suffolk doth not flatter, face or feign. Reg, vipon thy princely warrant I descend, to gie you the answer of thy erst demand. Suff, and here I will expect thy coming. Trumpet sound, enter Regnier. Reg, welcome brought Earl into our territories. Command in Anu what your honour pleases. Suff, thanks Regnier, happy for so sweet a child, fit to be made companion with a king. What answer makes your grace vnto my sweet? Reg, since thou dost deign to woe her little worth, to be the princely bride of such a lord, vipon condition I may quietly enjoy mine own the country maid at Anu, free from oppression or the stroke of war. My daughter shall be Henry's if he please. Suff, that is her ransom I delure her, and those 2 counties I will undertake. Your grace shall well and quietly enjoy. Reg, and I agin in Henry's royal name, as deputy vnto that gracious king, giu thee her hand for scene of plighted faith. Suff, Regnier of France, I giu thee kingly thanks, because this is in traffic of a king. And yet methinks I could be well content to be mine own attorney in this case. I'll hour then to England with this news, and make this marriage to be solemnized. So farewell Regnier, set this diamond safe in golden palaces as it becomes. Reg, I do embrace thee as I would embrace the Christian Prince King Henry were he here. Mar farewell my lord, good wishes, praise and prayers shall Suffolk you a whore of Margaret. She is going. Suff, farewell sweet madam, but hark you Margaret, no princely commendations to my king. Mar such commendations as becomes a maid, a virgin and his servant say to him. Suff, words sweetly placked and modesty directed. But madame, I must trouble you again. No lowing token to his majesty. Mar yes, my good lord, a pure spotted heart. Newer yet taint with low, I send the king. Suff, and this withal. Kiss her. Mar that for thyself I will not so presume to send such pious tokens to a king. Suff, O wert thou for myself, but Suffolk stay. Thou mayest not wander in that labyrinth. There minotaurs and vigli treasons lurk. Solicite Henry with her wondrous praise. Bethink thee on her virtues that surmount mad natural graces that extinguish art. Repeat their semblance often on the seas, that when thou calm'st to kneel at Henry's feet, thou mayest borrow him of his wits with wonder. Exit. Enter York, Warwick, Shefford, Pucelle. Bring forth that sorceress condemned to burn. Shep, Arioni, this kills thy father's heart outright. Whore, I sought Uri country far and near, and now it is my chance to find thee out. Must I behold thy timeless cruel death? Arioni, sweet daughter Arioni, I'll die with thee. Pucil, decrepit miser, base ignoble wretch, I am descended of a gentler blood. Thou art no father nor no friend of mine. Shep, out, my lords, and please you, 'tis not so. I did beget her, all the parish knows. Her mother Leowith yet can testify. She was the first fruit of my bucklership. War, graceless, wilt thou deny thy parentage? York, this argues what her kind of life hath been. Wicked and vile, and so her death concludes. Shep, fie Ioni that thou wilt be so obstacle. God knows thou art a collop of my flesh, and for thy sake, whore, I shed many a tear. Deny me not, I prithee, gentle Ioni. Pucel, peasant ornt, you whore suborn this man, of purpose to obscure my noble birth. Shep, 'tis true, I go a noble to the priest. The morn that I was wedded to her mother. Kneel down and take my blessing, good my Jill. Wilt thou not stoop, now cursed be the time. Of thy natiety, I would the milk. Thy mother gore thee when thou suck'st her breast. Had been a little rat's bane for thy sake. Or else when thou didst keep my lambs afield, I wish some rawness wolf had eaten thee. Doest thou deny thy father, cursed drab? Oh, burn her, hanging is too good. Enter. York, take her away, for she hath lewd too long to fill the world with vicious qualities. Puck, first let me tell you whom you whore condemned. Not me, begot of a shepherd swain, but issued from the progeny of kings, virtuous and holy, chosen from a bough, by inspiration of celestial grace, to work exceeding miracles on earth. I knew I had to do with wicked spirits, but you that are polluted with your lusts, stained with the guiltless blood of innocence, corrupt and tainted with 1,000 vices, because you want the grace that others haw, you urge it straight a thing impossible, to compass wonders but by help of deals. No misconceived, Ione of air hath been, a virgin from her tender infancy, chaste and immaculate in very thought, whose maiden blood thus rigorously effuzzed, will cry for vengeance at the gates of Hoenn. York, I, away with her to execution. War, and hark ye, sirs, because she is a maid. Spare for no faggots, let there be eno. Place barrels of pitch upon the fatal stake, that so her torture may be shortened. Puck, will nothing turn your unrelenting hearts? Then Ione discour thine infirmity, that warranteth by law to be thy prejuelage. I am with child ye bloody homicides. Murther not then the fruit within my womb, although ye hail me to a violent death. Your, now Hoenn forfend the holy maid with child. War, the greatest miracle that e'er ye wrought. Is all your strict preciseness come to this? York, she and the dolphin ha been eagling. I did imagine what would be her refuge. War, well go to, will ha no bastards liu, especially since Charles must father it. Puck, you are decided my child is none of his. It was a Lanson that enighed my low. York, a Lanson that notorious Mashuel. It dies, and if it had 1,000 lius. Puck, oh gee me lo, I ha deluded you. 'Twas neither Charles nor yet the Duke I named, but Reignir, King of Naples, that preuled. War, a married man that's most intolerable. Your, why here's a Jill, I think she knows not well. There were so many whom she may accuse. War, it seems she hath been liberal and free. Your, and yet forsooth she is a virgin pure. Strumpet, thy words condemn me, thy brat and thee. VSC no entreaty, for it is in vain. Pooh, then lead me hence, with whom I low my curse. May a glorious sun reflex his beams upon the country where you make abode. But darkness and the gloomy shade of death inure you till mischief and despair drew you to break your necks or hang your cellos. Exit. Enter Cardinal. York, break thou in pieces and consume to ashes, thou foul accursed minister of hell. Car, Lord Regent, I do greet your excellence with letters of commission from the king. For know my lords the states of Christendom, moved with remorse of these outrageous broils, how earnestly implored a general peace betwixt our nation and the aspiring French. And here at hand the Dolphin and his train approacheth to confer about some matter. York, is all our troil turned to this effect, after the slaughter of so many peers, so many captains, gentlemen and soldiers, that in this quarrel ha been overthrown, and sold their bodies for their country's benefit, shall we at last conclude effeminate peace? Ha we not lost most part of all the towns? By treason, falsehood, and by treachery, our great progenitors had conquered. O Warwick, Warwick, I foresee with grief the vititer loss of all the realmy of France. War, be patient, York, if we conclude a peace, it shall be with such strict and sure covenants, as little shall the Frenchman gain thereby. Enter Charles, a Lanson bastard Reignier. Char, since lords of England it is thus agreed, that peaceful truce shall be proclaimed in France, we come to be informed by your cellos what the conditions of that league must be. York, speak Winchester, for boiling choler chokes the hollow passage of my poisoned voice. By sight of these our baleful enemies, Win, Charles and the rest, it is enacted thus, that in regard King Henry Gu's consent, of mere compassion and of lenity, to ease your country of distressful war, and suffer you to breath in fruitful peace, you shall become true liegemen to his crown. And Charles, vipon condition thou wilt swear, to pay him tribute and submit thyself. Thou shalt be placked as viceroy viender him, and still enjoy thy regal dignity. Alan, must he be then as shadow of himself, adorn his temples with a coronet, and yet in substance and authority retain but privilege of a private man? This proffer is absurd and reasonless. Char, 'tis known already that I am possessed with more than half the Gallian territories, and therein ruaranked for their lawful king. Shall I for lucre of the rest vien vanquished, detract so much from that prerogative, as to be called but viceroy of the whole? No, Lord Ambassador, I'll rather keep that which I haw than coweting for more, be cast from possibility of all. York, insulting Charles, hast thou by secret means vest intercession to obtain a league, and now the matter grows to compromise. Standst thou aloof vipon comparison, either accept the title thou usurpst, of benefit proceeding from our king, and not of any challenge of desert, or we will plague thee with incessant wars. Reg, my lord, you do not well in obstinacy to coil in the course of this contract. If once it be neglected, 10 to 1, we shall not find like opportunity. Alan, to say the truth, it is your policy to soar your subjects from such massacre and ruthless slaughters as are daily seen by our proceeding in hostility, and therefore take this compact of a truce, although you break it when your pleasure sorrows. War, how say'st thou, Charles? Shall our conditions stand? Char, it shall. Onely reserved, you claim no interest. in any of our towns of garrison. Your then swear allegiance to his majesty, as thou art knight newer to disobey, nor be rebellious to the crown of England, thou nor thy nobles to the crown of England. So now dismiss your army when ye please. Hang VP your ensigns, let your drums be still, for here we entertain a solemnly peace. Exeunt. Actus Quintus. Enter Suffolk in conference with the King, Gloucester and Exeter. King, your wondrous rare description, noble Earl, of beauteous Margaret hath astonished me. Her virtues graced with external gifts do breed Lau's settled passions in my heart, and like as rigour of tempestuous gusts prouks the mightiest hulk against the tide, so am I driven by breath of her renown, either to suffer shipwrecky or a renew, where I may haw fruition of her Lau. Suff, tush my good lord, this superficial tale is but a preface of her worthy praise. The chief perfections of that lowly dame, had I sufficient skill to VT them, would make a volume of enticing lines, able to roish any dull conceit, and which is more, she is not so genuine, so full replete with choice of all delights, but with as humble lowliness of mind. She is content to be at your command. Command I mean of virtuous chaste intents, to allow and honour Henry as her lord, king, and otherwise will Henry ne'er presume. Therefore my lord protector, do you consent that Margaret may be England's royal queen? Glow, so should I do you consent to flatter sin. You know my lord your highness is betrothed, VNTO another lady of esteem. How shall we then dispense with that contract, and not deface your honour with reproach? Suff as doth a ruler with VN lawful oaths, or one that at a triumph hoing vowed, to try his strength forsaketh yet the lists, by reason of his adversaries' odds. A poor earl's daughter is equal odds, and therefore may be broke without offence. Gloucester, why what I pray is Margaret more than that? Her father is no better than an earl, although in glorious titles he excel. Suff, yes my lord, her father is a king, the king of Naples and Jerusalem, and of such great authority in France, as his alliance will confirm our peace, and keep the Frenchmen in allegiance. Glow, and so the Earl of Armagnac may do, because he is near kinsman VNTO Charles. Exet, beside his wealth doth warrant a liberal dower, where rig near sooner will receive you than G you. Suff a dower my lords, disgrace not so your king, that he should be so abject base and poor, to choose for wealth and not for perfect Lau. Henry is able to enrich his queen, and not to seek a queen to make him rich. So worthless peasants bargain for their weus, as market men for oxen, sheep or horse. Marriage is a matter of more worth than to be dealt in by attorneyship, not whom we will but whom his grace affects, must be companion of his nuptial bed, and therefore lords, since he affects her most of all these reasons bindeth these. In our opinions she should be preferred, for what is wedlock forced, but a hell, an age of discord and continual strife, whereas the contrary bringeth bliss, and is a pattern of celestial peace. Whom should we match with Henry being a king? But Margaret, that is daughter to a king. Her peerless feature, oined with her birth, approws her fit for none but for a king. Her valiant courage and undaunted spirit, more than in women commonly is seen, will answer our hope in issue of a king. For Henry, son VNTO a conqueror, is likely to beget more conquerors, if with a lady of so high resolue, as is fair Margaret, he be linked in Lao. Then yield, my lords, and here conclude with me, that Margaret shall be queen, and none but she. King, whether it be through force of your report, my noble lord of Suffolk, or for that my tender youth was newer yet attaint with any passion of inflaming Lao, I cannot tell, but this I am assured, I feel such sharp dissension in my breast, such fierce alarms both of hope and fear, as I am sick with working of my thoughts. Take therefore shipping, post my lord to France, agree to any covenants and procure that Lady Margaret do vouchsafe to come, to cross the seas to England and be crowned King Henry's faithful and anointed queen. For your expenses and sufficient charge, among the people gather VP attents. Begone, I say, for till you do return, I rest perplexed with 1,000 cares. And you, good V and Seekly, banish all offence. If you do censure me by what you were, not what you are, I know it will excuse this sardine execution of my will, and so conduct me where from company I may rule you and ruminate my grief. Enter. Glow, I grief I fear me both at first and last. Exit Gloucester. Thus Suffolk hath prelude, and thus he goes, as did the youthful Paris once to Greece, with hope to find the like Uint in Lao, but prosper better than the Trojan did. Margaret shall now be queen and rule the king, but I will rule both her, the king and realmy. Exit. Finis.